The 21st going Mary Sniper Gunner. Yo, Luffy. Shortly after the injured Usopp and the housekeeper named Mary were treated and bandaged, and the three of them were sent back to the mansion, the Luffy trio also returned here. Why so slow? I thought you should get it done soon. Stop talking. Nami, who covered her forehead, sighed helplessly. A certain idiot captain was hypnotized by someone else, and I got a knife. Nami, who was covered in blood on her shoulders, sighed again. A certain idiot swordsman was careless and 2 knives were stolen, and I was kicked. This. Roman didn't know what to say for a while. Originally, according to his estimation, after the Black Cat pirates lost Captain Kuro, they should not be an invincible opponent. How could they be so disheartened? Sorry, it was my fault. X2. Facing Nami's complaints, a certain captain and a certain swordsman had to bow their heads and admit their mistakes. If the two of them are not careless, the Black Cat pirates are indeed not enough for them to fight, but they are careless. It can also be regarded as a lesson for them, and they know what is, weird people. Forget it, I don't blame you either. Nami waved her hand. Roman, help me deal with the wound. No problem, but my current ability can only deal with ordinary trauma. Roman nodded. If you want to achieve the expected, moving spring, effect, you need to at least learn that trick, but, as a pirate, it's not easy to handle. Ha ha ha, no, there is no kidnapping at all. Usopp, who was wrapped in a bandage under his clothes, stood at the door of the mansion, facing the town residents holding pitchforks and kitchen knives with a smug smirk. You were all deceived by me, I was just joking with everyone. What? You bastard. I must teach a good lesson today. Everyone, Kaya, a weak girl in a coat, stood beside Usopp, bowing her head to face the passionate town residents. Sorry, it's all said, it's just my Usopp's lie. It's just that the guy in Klahadore quit his job and went back home, and I couldn't help but play a farewell joke with him. Following Usopp's words, the attention of the town residents was immediately diverted. What? Mr. Klahadore resigned. How come, such a good person? Facing the people who missed the glasses housekeeper, the girl named Kaya couldn't bear to lower her head, and mist appeared in her eyes again. But a rough hand next to her held her white palm. The girl turned her head, and Usopp's hearty smile caught her eye. That guy Klahadore, just back home. So please don't be sad. Katakana middle dot. Hey, do you think such a big thing never happened? Aren't you willing, Mary? No. The butler with sheep-like hair, wrapped in bandages, shook his head. Was it Usopp's idea? That boy said that for the people in the town I understand, I'll take care of the rest. Mary, I have one more thing for you. Please say. People's constitutions are really different. In this world, there is a delicate, Sister Lin, like Miss Kaya, and there are perverts like Luffy who eat meat without leaving scars. So one day later, Butler Mary, who was cut down by Captain Kuro, started to go around to deal with the funeral. After learning about it, Roman had no choice but to sigh. If this Butler Mary is willing to go to sea to exercise, at least he can get a bounty level of tens of millions. In the restaurant of Kaya's house, Roman, Luffy, Zoro and Nami who have just had a full meal are. Click. Luffy was terrified as he grabbed half of the fishbone out of his throat. Actually got stuck. It seems that you need to exercise your throat. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't there be a bone like this after eating? Nami pointed to the complete fish bone on the plate, and then looked at the clean plate in front of Zoro, and in front of Roman. Are you still human? Really eat meat without spitting bones? Don't get me wrong, my fish was eaten by Luffy. Roman forked a slice of bread. The reason why he got stuck must also be because he ate too fast. In the face of Roman's serious analysis, Nami complained that she couldn't. In your eyes, what are bones? High calcium tablets. Sorry for your stomach. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. A few. A girl named Kaya pushed the door and walked into the restaurant. Is the food still tasty? Do you want me to let the chef? No need, I'm full. Luffy, slapping his belly, greeted with a smile, thank you, Kaya. It's me who should say thank you. If it weren't for you, the girl bowed her head and bowed. Without Usopp and these guys, her end would not have been wonderful. Kaya, is it okay for you to walk around like this? Facing Nami's caring words, the delicate girl smiled and shook her head. My illness is because of the death of my parents and the relationship between worry and illness. But you, and Usopp helping me so much, I have to cheer up. Saying that, the girl clapped her hands lightly. I heard you need a ship that can go far, maybe I can help. Wow wow wow, so cool. On the coast, a caravel-style sailboat with a skeleton structure and jibs all using the rudder method in the center of the stern stayed there quietly. The bow was a sheep's head, and the shape was very cute. There are also 2 flags with sheep heads hanging on them. I've kept you all waiting. Standing by the coast is a housekeeper named Mei Li. Although the style is a bit old, I designed it all by myself. This can be seen from his sheep-like hair and the bow of the ship. It's a clipper. I named it, Going Merry, Going Merry. Wow, Going Merry, Gold Merry. Luffy happily raised his arms to greet the sailboat. We will be partners in the future. Going Merry. Huh, Luffy, no. Nami was about to remind Luffy that the name of the ship was Gold Merry, but Kaya next to her took her hand lightly. It's okay, it's your mate now. So, it's up to your captain to decide the name. It would be nice to just call it Going Merry. On the other side, Usopp, carrying a large package, faced his 3 crew, the 3 children who played captain games with him in the town. Thank you for always playing with me as a big talker, but after meeting those people, I decided, I want to go out to sea to be a real pirate. It's a lie. Captain Usopp, don't you love this town very much? And what about Miss Kaya? The boy with the long nose asked suddenly. What is your dream? Running a tavern. Be a carpenter. Being a novelist. The 3 children answered without hesitation, and the boy named Usopp raised his head, not letting the tears in his eyes fall. Yeah, and my dream is to be a man who stands tall in the sky, and a great pirate who is famous all over the world. Saying that, Usopp looked at his 3 crew. So, we agreed that we must all realize our dreams. So, tears and snot ran down his cheeks, and the boy named Usopp shouted to the sky. Usopp, pirate group, disbanded today. Luffy, are you going to set sail? Wait a second. Facing Luffy's request, Roman nodded and gestured for Nami to start the merchant ship first. Now that they have a professional, Going Merry, it's time to think about taking that merchant ship. Who? In a series of gasps, the boy named Usopp also appeared on the beach with a big bag on his back. Yo Luffy, Roman, are you going to sea too? Of course. You still have to go to sea, Usopp. Kaya, a weak girl next to her, came over, embarrassing the long-nosed boy. Sorry. No need to apologize, Usopp. However, the girl just smiled. Actually, I had a hunch that one day you would become a man who gallops on the sea. Then next time I come back, I will tell you the story of the voyage. It must be 100 times better than the previous, bragging. Facing Usopp's farewell words, Kaya still smiled and nodded. Okay, I'll wait for you. Then I'll come up, Usopp. Roman standing on Going Merry waved to the long-nosed boy. Hey, aren't we partners already? Luffy, who was lying on the side of the ship, had a natural look on his face, and the expression on the face of the boy named Usopp froze. After a few seconds. Am I the captain? No, X4. Miss, did you just want to keep Usopp? Yes, but stand on the coast and watch, Going Merry, go away. The girl named Kaya ran her fingers through her pale blonde hair blown by the wind. I can't put out Usopp's dream for myself. Let's go back. The master and servant turned around. Mary, I want to be a doctor. Miss, you set a great goal. Chapter 22 Sword Emperor Sword Saint Sea Restaurant. 985. 986. Deck of Going Merry, Luffy and Zoro squatted with their heads humming with their weights on their backs. And Nami, who was also exercising beside her, and why should I join? Facing the tearful Usopp, Roman, who was also exercising with weights, raised his eyelids. You want to fight me too? If you beat me, you don't have to listen to me. Forget it, I practice from the heart. Ha ha ha. Nami, what are you laughing at? Sure enough, that proverb about friends is well said. Nami, who was also exercising, smiled at Usopp, who had cramps in her legs. I'm happy to hear that you have a worse life than me. This friendship is too realistic. However, it was useless to complain. After completing the training amount prescribed by Roman, the others still had the energy to talk and laugh. Poor Usopp didn't even have the strength to turn over. It's not what I imagined. Pirate life should not be banquets, carnivals, storms, battles, etc. Sweat more in peacetime, and bleed less in wartime. Roman, who was turning Going Merry, rudder and distractedly controlling two paper arms to drive a merchant ship behind him, raised his eyelids. Usopp, your physical fitness is only 0.8 Nami level, which is something I didn't expect. Hey, what is 0.8 Nami level? Nami, who just came out of a bath, quit. When did she become a physical fitness unit? Because, your physical fitness is the person in our place who can best represent the ordinary level of pirates. Roman replied solemnly. Otherwise, how about I change it to 0.04 Luffy? Forget it, it's too shocking. But it doesn't matter, your potential should be more than that. Roman looked at Usopp. You should only look like this because you haven't exercised systematically before, weak chicken. Start exercising now to develop your physical potential, and I believe you will soon surpass the level of 1 Nami. Enough, Roman, don't use me as a standard unit. The days of sailing are actually not magnificent at all, nor are they gorgeous and exciting at all. Most of the time it is an endless sea, no waves and no other ships. And in order to prevent Luffy from playing tricks, Roman made a detailed exercise plan every day to eliminate their excess energy. But I think we need a pirate flag. Faced with Luffy's serious proposal, everyone else, including Roman, nodded in agreement. How to say they now have as many as 5 members. It's time to play your flag. Chin-chiang-chiang. How about this one I drew? How should I put it? Although it can still be seen that it is a skull flag in general, but this guy, at first glance, knows that he has no artistic cell. This is Usopp telling the truth. No, in a way it's also art. This is Nami with a pensive face. The pirate flag is a symbol of deterrence. This is the silent Zoro. It's more of a kindergarten doodle than a pirate flag. Roman rubbed his temples. If he really hung up on this thing, he would be able to make the other party die of laughter without having to fight. No, think about it carefully. Maybe this is actually a tactic of Luffy. Do you show the enemy to be weak? No, Roman shook his head. The usual Luffy should not have the brain cells to think about these. Forget it, leave the painting to me. As the only artist among the few, Usopp took over the brush without hesitation. However, can't say it's poorly drawn, but a long-nosed skull with a slingshot on one side and a leg bone on the other. Even added a star effect. Bang, X2. You are drawing entirely yourself, aren't you? Usopp, who was beaten by Luffy and Zoro at the same time, had to redraw a Straw Hat pirate flag, which made others look at it with admiration. It's a nice drawing. It's hard to imagine that it's actually the same pattern. Picking it up and comparing it with Luffy, painting is simply the difference between a seller's show and a buyer's show. I'm not only good at drawing, but also shooting, I can do it all with ease. After performing a shot to blow up a small rock slope exposed in the sea in the distance. Very well, you will be the sniper and painter on our ship from now on. Luffy waved his hand and gave Usopp 2 positions. Hello. Roman looked up at several paper cranes flying in the sky, and one of them flew over the small stone slope that was blasted away by Usopp just now. After circling a few times. There is good news and bad news, you want to hear that? Bad news. Facing Luffy's choice, Roman nodded. The place you blasted past, someone was resting there. You hit passers-by. This. What about the good news? The Spartan Luffy and Usopp asked anxiously. The good news is that those two don't seem to be dead yet. Damn, I just lost a little. When Roman and the others turned to the past, a swordsman jumped out of the ruins of the stone slope, shouting, "Kill for your life." The result was overturned by Luffy's move. Joseph, cheer up. After the other person was rescued, it was found that it was Zoro's former companion, and they were all his fans, pirate hunters named Joseph and Johnny. But now one of them is unscathed, the other is pale, and the wound on his stomach is even bleeding. But is this scurvy? It's not that the shells fired by Usopp hurt the opponent, but what is scurvy? Facing the doubts of Luffy Usopp Zoro trio, Nami had to give them popular science. Scurvy is a disease caused by the lack of vitamin C in the human body. Long-term insufficient intake will increase the fragility of capillaries, thereby causing bleeding under the skin and mucous membranes, which is medically called scurvy. Only need. Just add this. Roman had already brought out a glass of orange juice to another hunter named Johnny and asked him to feed the man named Joseph. Fresh vegetables, oranges and lemons can prevent septicemia, but if the long-term sailing diet is unbalanced, it will be like this. Roman said and glanced at Luffy. Especially you, Luffy. It's not uncommon to have a bunch of weird diseases when you only eat meat. A guy like this was definitely a model of the 3 highs in his previous life. Speaking of which, I'm hungry. Okay, I'll cook. Roman rolled his eyes, although he could control the paper hands to cook and improve his fruit proficiency, but to be honest, the number of times I've cooked during this period of time is almost like the sum of the previous generation. In the dining room of the cabin, I watched the Luffys who were munching on the food they had cooked, including Johnny and Joseph who had just been rescued. Roman touched his chin, and once again fell into doubt about his cooking skills. It doesn't make sense. I'm not Lu Angxing, and I didn't put poppy shells in it. Yummy. Quote. I think you'd say it's delicious even if it's potato stew, right? Roman didn't want to listen to the opinions of these guys with a steel stomach, and he tapped the plate with the knife and fork in his hand. I think we have to recruit a professional chef. A good chef can not only make delicious food, but also adjust nutritional balance, and even use food to subtly strengthen the body of the eater. This is not a fantasy. In this magical world, many foods themselves have incredible power, which can make people gain real power. Devil fruit is one of them. So where do we go to find such a chef? Facing Zoro's question, Roman directly pointed at Nami with the knife and fork in his hand. It's of course to ask the most experienced sailor among us. As someone who works at East Blue all year round, Nami should know that there are chefs there, right? I know, but... Nami, who wiped her mouth with a napkin, thought for a while, then took out a chart and spread it out. Point to a sea. On our slightly northerly course. There is a famous ship in this area called the Sea Restaurant. If you need a chef, you can go there and have a look. But I don't know if others are willing to board the ship. Saying that, Nami's fingers paused. On the land next to the sea area, there is this humble village. Cocoa Ash. It's so fast, the happy journey is coming to an end. Chapter 23 Chef Sanji Man Demon Jin. The sea restaurant has arrived. Following the reports of Johnny Joseph, who consciously, doing errands, Going Merry gradually approached the ship. This is really a restaurant. Roman looked at the ship that looked like a 3-story restaurant in front of him. Too cow cannot. In the end, the sea area around here is too calm, and any piece of wood can go into the sea. Or what kind of black technology is the shipbuilding technology in this world, so that such a wonderful building can appear on the sea? Forget it, if you are a devil fruit person, don't think about the issue of science. Just as the Going Merry that Roman and others were riding in slowly approached, on the other side of the restaurant on the sea, a marine warship showed its head. This. Should we avoid it? The 2 pirate hunters named Joseph and Johnny hid on the side of the ship, but Roman, Luffy and the others were standing on the deck. The pirate flag I've never seen before. Above the warship, a marine officer with iron fists in both hands looked at Roman and the others. I'm Marine Headquarters Captain, Tekken, full body, who's the captain? Although he asked, his eyes had already fallen on Roman. Compared to several other guys with painting style, Roman is much more reliable. But I am the captain. Luffy next to him reported himself with a serious face. The pirate flag was painted yesterday. What? Another guy with a problem in his head. Marine nodded. It turned out to be a bunch of idiots who dared to call themselves pirates, under the banner of a skull. Today is my holiday, I'll let you all go. If I meet you during work hours, I'll throw you all in jail. After finishing speaking, he took his female companion next to him and went to the sea restaurant for dinner, and at the same time snapped his fingers to the sailors on the warship. Old rules. The so-called old rules. When Marine encounters a pirate but doesn't want to hunt down the other party, he can fire a cannon as a deterrent to make him retreat. It also saves the gossip of others saying that the enemy is currently not firing a shot. Hey, it's not good. However, Usopp, who didn't know these conventions at all, screamed in panic when he saw the muzzle turned around. The other party's cannon is aimed at us. Bang! The muzzle flashed, and the head-sized cannonball flew towards Going Merry. Look at me, rubber. Facing the cannonball, Luffy jumped onto the side of the ship, took a deep breath, and suddenly turned into a chubby, fat man, more than 3 meters tall. Balloons. Boom. The cannonball sank deep into Luffy's chest, and after the kinetic energy was exhausted, Luffy bounced it. The shells are back to you. Yes, not bad. Rubber fruit can be developed into all kinds of tricks. It seems that Luffy is still relying on his captain. Boom. Puff. Hey, Luffy. Where did you bounce the shells? Num. I just didn't pay attention. This guy Luffy started to play tricks again. The shell was indeed successfully bounced away, but the angle of the crook was a bit exaggerated. Boomed on the top of the sea restaurant, next to it. Who did it? Soon, a group of chefs with knives and forks rushed out of the sea restaurant, aggressively. Although they only had kitchen knives and forks in their hands, the kitchen utensils, that were as tall as people could kill fish and kill people if they wanted to. It's him, X4. Luffy, who was collectively betrayed by Roman, Zoro, Nami, and Usopp, was kidnapped by many chefs in a series of screams. Next. Well, since I'm at a sea restaurant. Roman touched his chin. Then let's drop by for a meal. Yes. Anyway, Roman has always paid for it, who doesn't approve of it? Let's watch the boat, the 2 of us. Although Joseph and Johnny are not very capable, they can still handle things. The people here are all pirates, marines, and all kinds of people looking for a living at sea. If no one is watching the boat, maybe someone will sneak away without knowing it. Okay then, Roman nodded. You stay on the Going Merry and watch the merchant ship behind you. We'll bring you food in a while. Okay, thank you brother Roman. There are actually ships that open restaurants at sea, how do they keep it? Usopp, who looked left and right, asked as he walked. Above the sea, the strong eat the weak is vividly displayed. A restaurant where it's easy to come across a guest who is ready to pay with a bullet after a meal. Ah, this. As soon as the four entered the door, they saw a waiter in a suit, beating up guests. And this guest is the Marine Lieutenant Junior grade who just ordered a shot at them. Iron Fist, what's the matter? Hey, Marine dares to fight we still. Usopp was stunned in an instant. What kind of restaurant is this? I'm afraid it's not a pirate den. Don't panic. Roman waved his hand. Look at how many people are still in the hall and it's just right to run away to make room for us. After saying that, Roman walked directly to an empty table. Zoro, who looked indifferent, Nami, who was worried, and Usopp, who was worried, had to sit down, and then. Yo, isn't that Luffy? Why did you change from One Piece King of Pirates to a waiter after a few minutes of absence? Ah, I'm so miserable, Roman. Wearing a straw hat and apron, the nondescript, serving, Luffy sat down naturally. That Uncle Chef is the captain of this ship. He wants me to work here for a year to pay off the debt. How can I do this? I have to go to the Great Root. Who told you to bounce your shells without hitting your head? Roman complained inwardly, and suddenly frowned. Wrong. Maybe Luffy did it on purpose. Not only can I get into this restaurant, but I can also see the true temperament of the other party. In this way, the recruitment of chefs is. No, I must be thinking too much. Rubbing his temples, Roman glanced at Luffy, who was sitting down naturally. Had to remind him of his current identity. I said, are you dressed like a waiter? Shouldn't you help us order food, bring tea and water, etc.? Captain full body. At this moment, a Marine soldier covered in blood rushed into the restaurant. Let Captain Marine full body, who had just been beaten up after throwing worms in the food because of the unhappy waiter, turned around. That Krieg Pirates officer escaped. Boom. With a gunshot, the Marine soldier at the door fell slowly, revealing a thin man behind him. He wears an off-white coat with a red snake pattern on it, and trousers that match the coat. He was wearing a green shirt underneath with a textured turban on top of his head. After one shot at Marine, who was reporting the letter, the man passed over the beaten-up Captain Iron Fist and found an empty table at random to sit down. Hello, is this a restaurant? Everything is fine, just have something to eat. Facing the man who only had, I am a vicious pirate, written on his face, a sturdy chef stepped forward without any fear, and asked with a ghastly smile on his face. This guest, did you bring any money? Click. The flintlock gun in his hand was placed on the head of the sturdy chef. Pay with bullets, okay. Bang. However, in the next second, the pirate holding the firearm was smashed to the ground with a punch. Even the chair below him was blown to pieces. No money. The sturdy chef, who put away his smile, glanced coldly at the man on the ground. Pirates who have no money will not give you leftovers to eat. Bang, bang, bang. Punching and kicking. It was another scene of a chef beating people, but compared to the previous fight against Marine, the pirate fight this time made everyone in the restaurant applaud. Kill him. Not bad, chef. Good job. Well, not bad. Roman's eyes flashed while watching the show. This sturdy chef could be a team leader even in the former Silver Light Pirates. But it's just a squad leader with a bounty of several million. Ma Dan, what kind of chef is this? Obviously a group of fighters. When no one was paying attention, Captain Marine, who got up, quietly touched the door, and took the Marine soldier who was shot by the way. Okay, customers, please continue to eat. After throwing the troublesome pirate man out, the burly chef turned around and gave a disgusting skirt-lifting ceremony. Come to think of it, only a chef like this can open a restaurant in this chaotic sea, right? Cough cough. The heart of the man who was thrown out like a dead dog was sad. Who would have thought that with a reward of 12 million, the battle captain of the dignified Krieg Pirates, Man Demon Jin, would be so downcast, I am afraid that today is his death. Boom. A plate of fried rice and a glass of water were placed in front of him. It was the blonde waitress in a suit who had just beaten Captain Marine. Eat. Ah, thank you. It was delicious. Quote. Facing the pirate Jin who swallowed his tears mixed with his food, the waiter leaning next to him took a cigarette. I'm so stupid to actually sympathize with a pirate who does all kinds of evil. But is it not your life creed to feed the hungry? Ha ha. And Luffy was grinning Isho by the window. Found a good cook. Chapter 24 Revenge So-Called Betrayal. Thank you so much. After the meal, Jin, who finally survived, burst into tears. Hello, cook. What's your name? Luffy, who jumped out of the window, stood beside the two of them carelessly. Be our partner and be the cook on our pirate ship. My name is Sanji, the sous chef here. I won't be on your boat. However, with a cigarette in his mouth, he has blonde hair, and his hair covers his left eye, revealing only his right eye and right eyebrow. The man in the shape of a waiter with raised eyebrows refused Luffy's invitation without hesitation. Because I have a reason to have to work here. I reject your rejection. Hey, listen to what people have to say. What's the reason for that? I won't tell you. Didn't you tell me to listen to you carefully? Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot I'll beat you up. However, he was a man from the sea no matter what, and the three of them chatted after a while. When it comes to the sea, adventure, and dreams, they are all excited. Let the old man who quietly watched all this from the window on the third floor show a nostalgic smile. And in the restaurant. Luffy is gone again, won't he be in trouble again? Facing Nami's concern, Roman cut a slice of bread and put it in his mouth. No, my scout Chihei is watching from outside, and Luffy is trying to recruit a chef. That's fine. Nami didn't seem to have much appetite, barely begging Isho. With Roman here, I believe the Straw Hat Pirates will be able to go on. Say what? Roman frowned, and Nami's strangeness surprised him. Could it be the girls, that, coming? Trying hard to recall the vague plot of 10 years ago. However, what is more clear is the war on the top, the Ming brother, the New World, etc., the plot of East Blue is too long. Etc. I remember like. You actually left me and eat delicious food here. Luffy, who didn't know when he came back, sat down at Roman's table, pulled a plate and was ready to eat. I found a good chef, and I can invite him soon. Snapped. However, Luffy, who was not even halfway through speaking, was screwed up by the ruthless iron hand behind him, and the chef named Sanji made an unhappy voice. Aren't you a waiter? What are you doing sitting here? Also, I'm not going to be a pirate. Because. Isn't this a good opportunity? An old voice came. It was the owner, chef, and captain of this restaurant, an old man with a broken foot. Go be a pirate. He looked at the blonde with curly eyebrows, because of Sanji's chef. This store doesn't need you anymore. What? Smelly old man. Clang. No, not good. It's Admiral Krieg's pirate flag. See restaurant, everyone is in a mess. If the comparison between Going Merry and sea restaurant is like a chicken next to a big goose, then the pirate ship that appears now is as huge as a hound. It's an exaggeration. Looking at the slowly approaching giant ship, Roman had to admit that the navigation of this world did point out a lot of black technology. This kind of creation like an ocean liner can actually be made of wood. But wait, why does it look tattered? Could it have been a hurricane? It goes without saying that it doesn't look like it was man-made, right? Such a giant ship like an aircraft carrier at sea is now slowly docking beside the restaurant on the sea like a ghost ship. Just when everyone was surprised. Bang! The door was pushed open, and the man named Jin went back and forth. But this time, he also supported a tall man. Ah! Admiral Krieg. We're dead. From the exclamations of passers-by, Roman and others easily knew the identity of the person who came. But Looks like this Captain Krieg is out of luck. Not only was it unlucky, the giant ship outside was in tatters, and Krieg, the captain, was half dead. Roman made a visual inspection. The other party was about 2.5 meters tall, with light purple hair and a headscarf tied around his head. Wearing a loose shirt with silhouettes of weapons and armor under the shirt, black boots, and a large cloak. It's scary. As the saying goes, a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. No matter how downhearted, the 2-meter-5, little giant, still brings a wild impact to everyone in the restaurant, such as, I'm going to the bathroom. Nami stepped back quietly with a look of fear on her face. Excuse me, can I give me some rice and water? The tall captain, who looked like he was running out of oil, leaned on Jin next to him to support him, and pleading feebly. I have money as much as I can. Ha 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 ha. The sturdy chef who was still scared just now laughed wildly. Seeing that the pirates who dominated the entire East Blue were so weak, what was there to be afraid of? Food and water. Don't even think about it, just call Marine. Isn't that what Lieutenant Junior grade is nearby? The opportunity to get promoted and make a fortune is just around the corner, and he will definitely not let it go. Wait. Jin, who was holding Krieg, shouted anxiously. We are the guests. This time we have money, 10 or 100 times. HMPH, and then continue to burn, kill and loot after you have recovered. The burly chef disdainfully took out a kitchen knife, a weapon that was 1-meter-5 long. People like you will definitely attack our restaurant after eating. Don't even think of a drop of water. Snapped. The tall pirate leader knelt on his knees, his body was thrown to the ground, and his head was directly on the floor. Humble prayers echoed in the dining room. Please, just any leftovers will do. We will obediently leave after we eat, please. Captain. Don't do this, you don't have to do this. Seeing his own captain bow so humbly, Jin next to him was so excited that he shed tears. Is a wolf extermination. Roman watched the play calmly. When these characters appeared in front of him, his long-standing memory gradually recovered, and the images in his mind gradually corresponded to the real characters. Krieg, a pirate who has long sat on East Blue's dominance position. Arrogant, ungrateful, ruthless, even his own subordinates can live or die, a person who is disgusting from beginning to end. He believes that he is invincible in the world, and is arrogant, ruthless, and mean. But Roman didn't hate him. At least as a pirate, he really did what a pirate should do. Conspiracy, ruthless, servile, indomitable. It wasn't anyone who encountered the Eagle Eye, with the world's top combat power when he first entered the Great Route, and was killed by him at will, after more than 50 warships and nearly 10,000 men were wiped out. Still have the courage to continue to challenge the Great Route. Whether it is the frog in the well or the arrogance. This perseverance, at least Roman admires. However. Bang. Get out of the way. He kicked the sturdy chef who was blocking his way and flew aside, and a man named Sanji put food and water in front of Jin. Give it to your captain. Thank you, thank you. Seeing the man named Krieg gulping down the food, the other chefs were anxious. Sanji, are you crazy? For this man named Krieg, betrayal is like drinking water. He will never leave obediently after eating, he will definitely. Bang. In fact, it doesn't take long. Krieg, who had just swallowed the last mouthful of food, stood up abruptly and smashed his savior, Sanji, into the air with one punch. Who, come back to life. For the digestive system of the world's powerhouses, Roman has long since wanted to complain. But, nice restaurant, I want this ship. Could this betrayal come too soon? On the other side, Mary, from the new group. Yo, Nami-san, are you back? Joseph and Johnny, who stayed behind the ship, looked at Nami, who jumped on the deck, and asked in confusion. What about the other big brothers? That's the Krieg pirates next to me. Shall we get away quickly? They're watching over there, let me come over and lift the anchor first. Nami instructed two third-rate pirate hunters to lift the anchor and turn around, while swiftly probing around on the deck, collecting all the inconspicuous paper cranes. These are Roman's creations, usually a normal paper crane, but if necessary, they can immediately become Roman's eyes. Puff! The matches crossed, the jumping flames fell on the paper cranes, and the roaring flames devoured these little things. Nami-san, next. You stand on the bow, and I want to change. Facing Nami pulling up her clothes, although Joseph and Johnny couldn't figure out why this big brother was changing clothes now, they turned around instinctively, and the result. Push. Thump, thump. Goodbye. Going Mary, who had already closed the anchor and set sail, turned around vigorously, slid into the water and galloped to the side. This. Go and inform the other big brothers. I can easily get away while they're there watching a play. Ha ha ha, what a great harvest. On the distant Going Mary, the girl named Nami turned the rudder, and this sea area would not go wrong for her with her eyes closed. I didn't expect Roman's ship to have so much money. More than 30 million Baileys, it's a profit. The goal of 100 million has been achieved, the girl raised her head and smiled. You should be happy, Nami. With a smile, liquid slid down her face. I'm sorry, Roman, Luffy, Zoro. And Usopp who just joined. You are not a liar, I am. The girl lowered her head, bit her lip tightly, and let the ticking crystals fall on the deck. The next time you meet, you'll betray me, who stole your boat, stole your money, and betrayed your trust. As a partner. Chapter 25 Eagle Eyes Come World Number 1. Now. I declare that this is my ship. In the restaurant on the sea, Krieg, who has recovered his spirit, shouted orders to the crowd. Hurry up and eat your last meal and get off my boat. Ruthless, greedy and domineering. Truly a pirate style. Ah, yes. I still have a group of men on the tattered boat next to me, and there are about 100 left who have not starved to death. The tall man Krieg pointed to the chef present. Go and prepare 100 meals for me. Faced with these ridiculous requests, of course the chefs here would not agree. And they are not helpless people, but battle chefs, who deal with pirates every day, so. These chefs immediately drew their weapons and swarmed. Result. A group of rats dare to disobey me. Bang bang bang. Just a few minutes no, in a few seconds. The battle was over, and the chefs who lay on the ground proved it with practical actions. It is not without reason that a man named Krieg dared to call himself the overlord of East Blue. So after the owner of this restaurant took out the food for 100 people, Krieg left a sentence with satisfaction. If you don't want to die, just leave this shop and get out. I'm sorry Sanji-san, I am sorry. One side is the leader, the other side is the benefactor. In the messy restaurant, only Jin, who was in a dilemma, knelt on the ground in pain. The leader clearly promised me that he would never do anything here. Okay, no need to apologize. Jin. Sanji, the blonde man who lit a cigarette, stood up. It is the duty of a cook to feed the hungry. But if this person turns into an aggressor after eating, the man named Sanji tapped his heel. Then I won't let him go. Krieg, I'll take it out. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Big Zoro, Big Luffy, Big Roman. Not good. On the other side, Joseph and Johnny, who had just swam up the sea restaurant, from the middle of the sea, anxiously found Roman and his party who were watching the play. Ship treasure all. Don't worry, Roman flipped his hand and handed him 2 white paper towels. Wipe your face and speak slowly. Hoo-hoo, a few big brothers. Nami-dashi drove Going Mary away. And I saw her take the money from the other boat too. Ah this. Roman didn't react for a while. If you lose it, you will lose it, what's so strange? Hey, Roman, how can we go to sea without a boat? As the first Usopp who cares about Going Mary, he can't accept it. For him, Going Mary is not only the first ship in his life, but also carries the longing for his hometown. Isn't there another one over there? Roman raised his chin. That's right, it was Going Merry that Nami drove away, and the nameless merchant ship that had been used before was still docked on the other side. But the money on that boat was also stolen by Nami. It's just money. If you want it, you can earn it naturally. Joke. When have you heard of a dignified traveler who is worried about money? What's more, Roman believes that as long as his fruit ability continues to develop, there is no problem in competing with Guild Tessero Golden Fruit Ability Person as the richest man in the world. Unfortunately, not everyone is as generous as Roman, or open. Damn, I thought she's become honest recently. Careless. This is Zoro with an angry face. It's over, it's over. Krieg will bring someone to occupy this ship in a while. If we don't run fast, we will definitely be thrown into the sea. This is a desperate Usopp. Roman. Luffy, the captain, did not comment, but pressed the straw hat. Can you trace Going Merry? Yes, Roman's paper crane. No, none of my paper cranes can sense it. Before Usopp was happy, Roman poured a basin of cold water on his head. It should have been handled by Nami. It's over. However, Roman's words changed. I can try to locate Nami herself. She injured her shoulder some time ago and used my healing tape. Speaking of which, when Nami asked herself to heal, she deliberately covered her other arm. Very well, Roman. The serious-looking Luffy looked up, full of majesty belonging to the captain. Start the merchant ship and chase Nami back. Leave her alone, that kind of thief. What's the use of chasing it back? Zoro waved his hand. For him, the most unforgivable thing was betrayal. The most important thing is the boat. For Usopp, Going Merry is the most important thing. No. I want her to be our navigator. In the face of Luffy who was cut to pieces, Zoro had to cover his forehead. Well, that's a capricious captain. No problem, leave it to me. Roman also nodded. I'll bring her back. Joseph, Johnny, said Roman, turning to look at the third-rate pirate hunter duo. Help to start the merchant ship over there, wheel. Brush. Suddenly, a light flashed. This light is not conspicuous, but it is connected to the sea. There is no color, but it seems to contain any color. Before Roman didn't even react, he passed through Krieg's battleship, which was moored like a giant cruise ship. However, it disappeared at the end of the line of sight as if it had never appeared. Boom! With a loud noise, the huge ship like a castle was divided into two. Everyone was attracted by the spectacle of this huge ship splitting apart. Only Roman frowned and looked towards the sea. A straight line appeared on the sea. The waves were undulating and choppy, but they were surging on both sides of the line. It looked like, has even the invisible sea been separated? This is too exaggerated. In the face of such power. Ah! It's that guy. Leader Krieg, that guy is catching up. The one that destroyed our 50 warships. It's him. Roman looked at the giant ship that slowly fell into the ocean on both sides. A flatboat? No, it should be a man sitting on a raft. Eagle-sharp yellow eyes, a short beard, a black top hat with white fluff, a burgundy-patterned shirt, a black trench coat, white trousers, and black short boots. A cross hangs on his chest and a huge cross behind him. Roman knew that it was his saber, the strongest black knife in the world, Dracul Mahawk. The world's first swordsman. Without any fancy introduction, it is a simple and rude, world first. Woo! I know I'll meet you here, but Without even a single glance, just the fact that the other party was sitting on the raft slowly approaching made Roman have the urge to turn around and flee. This is no longer a matter of strength or weakness, but the coercion of different levels of life. It's over, it's over. Where did we offend you? Why are you chasing after us and not letting go? Facing the wailing and puzzled Krieg pirates, the man on the raft just spit out 4 words calmly. To pass the time. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. No, no, it must be the Krieg pirates who saw the dark history of your old man rowing with a black knife, so they were silenced, right? What a sharp sword. Just when Roman was complaining, Zoro had taken off the turban on his arm and tied it to his head. This means that he has to go all out. This man. 3 knives. It's Pirate Hunter, Zoro. It has to be said that compared to the world's #1, Hawkeye, Zoro's reputation in East Blues, Pirate Hunter, is much louder. Aren't you very free? Just when everyone was shocked by Hawkeye Hakiwashwang's appearance, Zoro had already strode forward, and the word Hidao in his hand pointed to the man on the raft. Fight with me. Chapter 26 Absolute Gap Swordsman's Oath. Pirate Hunter Zoro. A master, maybe he can. That guy, Sanji, who was standing in the restaurant, frowned. Isn't he Luffy's partner? Zoro. What? Facing the warlike eyes of Zoro who turned back, Roman opened his mouth and finally spit out only 3 words. Be careful. Taking a deep breath, Roman stepped forward with stiff steps. Perhaps only himself here truly understands the horror of Hawkeye, and everyone else is just unconscious. Roman, are you going there? Facing Luffy's question, Roman waved his hands and left with his back to everyone. I'm going to get the medicine kit. Sadly. The weak. Facing Zoro's challenge, the man named Mihawk stood up. If you are also a swordsman, then the gap between us should be clear at a glance. What is it that makes you dare to challenge me? Is it arrogance? Or pure ignorance? With his childhood sweetheart, Hidao character, in his mouth, and his own dual knives in his hands, the man named Zoro took a stance. This is my dream. This is a dream I made with a close friend. Facing Zoro, who was exuding fighting intent, the man opposite just took off the cross on his chest and opened it. It turned out to be a knife. Well, it must be a good knife for peeling and scraping fish and slicing roasted meat. But its role should never include combat. Are you looking down on me? Facing Zoro's angry questioning, Mihawk just answered calmly. Sorry, this is already my smallest knife. Luckily he didn't have nail clippers, otherwise. Don't blame me if you die. With a roar, Zoro swooped forward, and the 3 katana swords shone with icy cold light. The battle begins. This. Just to get a medicine box, in front of Roman who can fly, it only took a dozen seconds. However, when he came back, the scene was already. Zoro was beaten by a knife, and even his chest was stabbed by the other side. And the man nicknamed Hawkeye is still spotless. It's just adults playing with children. No, it should be said that Ultraman plays with children. Why don't you go back? Facing Zoro, who almost had his heart pierced by himself, a wave flashed in Hawkeye's indifferent yellow pupils. I don't know, but I feel that if I retire, many important vows and things will be lost. This is failure. Then I can't go back even more. It's kind of interesting. Instead of failing, it's better to choose death. Hey, don't be silly, Zoro. The patient Luffy, Joseph and Johnny who were suppressed by Luffy on the deck, and Roman with a serious face. They both stared intently at the 2 in battle, or their comrade, Zoro. How could you possibly beat Hawkeye? Very good, I haven't met such a strong man for a long time. Hawkeye took a few steps back, put away the small knife used for play, and pulled out the huge black knife behind him. Sign up. Clearly, he endorsed Zoro. Although it is not strength, but the determination to be a swordsman. Roranoa Zoro. Come on, I'll finish you with the world's #1 black knife. Facing Hawkeye's declaration, Zoro just silently held the 3 knives across his chest, and then 3 swords. Profound truth, 3,000 worlds. Hawkeye, Flata. The 2 figures passed by in a flash. As for the result. Click. In addition to the word, Hidao, in his mouth, the 2 katana swords in Zoro's Zoro's hands broke into pieces all over the ground. I lost, it doesn't matter, from Xiaochun. I never thought I'd lose. In the blood of Zoro's mind, he recalled the promise he made with the little girl when he was a child. And Roman's serious words, facing those masters, we will be instantly killed with one look. Is this the power of the world's #1 swordsman? Roman, you're right, I'm just sitting there watching the sky. Clang. The word Hidao in his hand suddenly returned to its sheath, and the man named Zoro turned around and opened his arms to face the enemy. What do you mean? Facing Hawkeye's question, Zoro raised his head proudly, his face was fearless, and he was even smiling. The scar on the back is the shame of the swordsman. Well said. The huge black knife flashed, and Zoro's chest splattered with blood. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Zoro. Soaring. Whoosh. Using his arms to extend, Luffy swooped at the man named Hawkeye. Clenched fist full of anger. However, the opponent just flicked to the side calmly, letting Luffy's attack fail. Are you guys this swordsman's mate? Wow. At the same time as Luffy attacked, Roman also leapt to Zoro's side, picked him up and kicked him backwards. The white wings that opened behind them flew back with the two of them upside down. Don't worry, he's still alive. Luffy, who was about to attack, immediately turned his head and looked behind him. Roman. No harm was done. While quickly dealing with the wound, Roman's words calmed the angry Luffy. Although the stab wound across Zoro's entire chest looks terrifying, it miraculously skips all the large blood vessels, nerves and tendons, and it is a veritable skin wound. This kind of superb swordsmanship can only be hacked by the world's #1, right? My name is Dracul Mahawk. The man who put the black knife back on his back looked at Zoro, who was being rescued by Roman. Know yourself. Know the world. Get stronger, Roronoa. After he finished speaking, he turned around handsomely, and landed on his small raft lightly and sat down. In the years to come, I will wait for you on the throne of the strongest in the world. Try to surpass me. Is this the temperament of the strong? Boy, what is your dream? Hawkeye glanced at the boy who attacked him just now, and the straw hat on his head. And the one who saved people just now, the two devil fruit powers. One Piece King of Pirates. Faced with Luffy's unhesitating answer, Hawkeye didn't laugh at him for being overly self-sufficient, but nodded earnestly. It's been a tough road, harder than getting past me. I don't care, I will be One Piece King of Pirates. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot Luffy katakana middle dot. On the other side, lying on the ground, Zoro, who was being bandaged by Roman, stood up the last knife, and the word, Dao Yi. Can you hear I lost? If you can't even be the #1 swordsman in the world, it will make you feel uneasy. Hey, don't talk. Roman, who sewed up the wound while quickly cleaning up the blood, calmly stopped Zoro. The wound is about to open. I will never lose again. However, Zoro with tears on his face just shouted to himself. Until I beat him I will never lose again. What an idiot wins or loses just to be worthy of being a crew member of Luffy's One Piece, King of Pirates? No, it should be Luffy's trust. Roman's hands that were bandaging the wound froze, and then moved again. Let Zoro continue to shout. What do you think? One Piece King of Pirates. Katakana middle dot. Arrogant words echoed in the battlefield, making the surroundings silent, and then. He. Cheerful Luffy, toothy Isho, I have no problem. Nice team. Hawkeye nodded indifferently. I look forward to seeing you again. Zoro's injuries have stabilized, but. Hawkeye left gracefully, leaving behind a mess. After the dressing was over, Roman looked at Luffy. I can't sense the direction of the bandage on Nami's body. Are you sure you don't want to leave with us? No, I still have something to deal with. Obviously, Luffy won't stop until he recruits Chef. And the Krieg pirates next to it are eyeing the See restaurant, and this place will soon be plunged into chaos. Zoro who was seriously injured just now, Usopp who is not suitable for melee so. Okay, Zoro, Usopp and I will go after Nami first. Roman was not pretentious, and used a paper stretcher to support the injured Zoro and flew to the merchant ship next to him. I'll bring Nami back, so you can convince the chef to join us. Well, of course. Chapter 27, North Bluefish Man's Poison. Yo, isn't that Nami? Ongoing Mary, which was approaching the coastline, a figure suddenly jumped onto the deck from the sea. This is a mouth like a trumpet, with 6 arms, a very simple and honest appearance, with multiple strands of silver gray hair, and it looks like a 5-pointed starfish on the head. Fish man. It's Hachi. Nami nodded to the other party. This octopus fish man named Hachi is one of the leaders of the Arlong pirates, and he is the only fishman that Nami does not hate. Because. Hachi, why are you here? Oh, I saw your ship just as I was leaving a group of human guests. By the way, Nami. Now that you're back, let's go to Arlong Park. We have another cadre. We're going to have a party today. Fishman's banquet but, new cadre. See you. Okay, when I park the boat, I'll go home and change my clothes. Okay, then I'll send it to you with an octopus pot. Hachi, the octopus fishman, gets along pretty well if he's not fighting. Simple and honest personality, simple-minded, can be said to be a very simple family. Pity. He followed the guy. Nami clenched her hands tightly and gritted her teeth, but finally let it go helplessly. Don't be angry, Nami. The girl with short orange hair said to herself. You've saved up 100 million Baileys, and your wish will come true soon. Sister Nojiko, I'm back. Welcome home, Nami. In the orange grove to the north of Kokoyashi village, there is a cottage. This is Nami's home, and the only place where she can feel at ease. You look a little upset. Did the action fail? After all, they were sisters, and the woman in the room could see at a glance that Nami's mood was a problem. However, although they are sisters, Nami's short orange hair and the other's light blue hair are obviously not true blood relatives. In fact, they were all orphans of war, who were adopted by their adoptive mother, Belmere, to come to this world. And their mother was killed by Arlong as a child to protect them. No, it's a bumper crop this time, and I've met a bunch of interesting people. Nami sat down, picked up an orange on the table and peeled it. Oh, tell me about it. With the light blue hair Nojiko also sitting down, Nami will meet Luffy from the town, then start with the buggy pirates, Roman rescue, then, acting, in Syrup Village, and then Usopp occupied, and then arrived at the restaurant on the sea. Luffy is a nerdy guy. He shouts every day to be One Piece, King of Pirates. But he always gets the point at the crucial moment. Zoro is a swordsman with 3 swords, and his dream is to become the #1 swordsman in the world. However, he was scolded by Roman and I don't know how high the sky is. Usopp, I like to brag the most. I say I want to be a man, but I am physically timid. Chatting and chatting, Nami's face was full of smiles. It's still Roman, with a straight face every day, and gave us a detailed exercise plan. As the oranges in his hands were about to be eaten, the story came to an end. If you say he's a pirate, I think it's better to say he's a marine instructor. When the story was over, there was only silence in the room. Sister Nojiko, You've met a good group of friends, Nami. Tick, tick, tick. Don't cry, reached out to help Nami wipe away her tears, and the woman named Nojiko stroked her sister's orange hair. Girls don't look good when they cry. But I deceived them. Nami, who has the nickname of Thief Cat, obviously just treats deception as food and water, but this successful action made her feel empty and uncomfortable. Tears fell uncontrollably. If those people were as good as you said, Nojiko, the older sister, smiled comfortingly at Nami. That's how they are, retort. They will forgive you, won't they? Well, Nojiko's sister is right. Luffy has no concept of money at all. Zoro can only practice swords. Roman's words, I will steal money from other pirates in the future to pay him back. Nami burst into laughter, when I buy Kokoyashi village. Dong dong dong. Nami, let's go. The voice of Fish Manhachi, the octopus, came from outside the door, making Nami stand up. I went to Arlong. See you later, Sister Nojiko. See you, Nami. As Nami, who had changed her clothes, happily ran out of the house, the woman named Nojiko put away her smiling expression. My poor Nami. Your dream, do you really think Arlong will keep the promise? Merry, feast. Wine pool meet forest. It's just that the participants are all half human and half fish, making it seem like a group of demons are dancing wildly. Scare, ha ha ha. Nami, it's time for you to come back. In the seaside building called Arlong Park, he is tall, wearing a plaid shirt, 5-point shorts, and a pair of slippers on his feet. Captain of the Arlong Pirates, with a leather cap, Arlong laughed and waved to Nami, who had just entered the door. Come here and meet our new companions. The new cadre. Is there any other fish man in this East Blue? This is Captain Kansong. Arlong pointed to a middle-aged fish man who was only drinking beside him. It was a red-skinned fish man. If it weren't for the gills and fins that are unique to Fishman, it looks like an old fisherman with a weird skin color. This is our surveyor, Nami. Arlong also explained to the Captain Kansong, although I hate human beings, Nami is an exception. Thanks to her, we can dominate this sea area. A little human girl. The middle-aged fish man named Kansong took a sip of wine and nodded to Nami. I have no prejudice against humans. After all, I was the only fish man on my boat before. He lifted the bottle to Nami in the distance. Toast to you, future partner. HMPH, I don't want to accept Fishman's toast. However, Nami just snorted and turned her head away. But, I really want to have a drink today, bring some wine. Scare, ha 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 ha, don't mind Captain Kansong. A capable little girl must have a great temper. It's okay. The middle-aged fish man named Kansong shook his head. Captain Arlong, I am a bachelor now, and I am no longer the captain of the Flame Pirates. Captain Kansong, please don't mention it, I'll be fine. Scared, ha 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 ha, what did the compatriots say? As long as you want, I will help you rebuild the Flame Pirates right away. Although I, Arlong, love money, I won't frown if it's needed by my fellow countrymen. Thank you. That's why Kansong doesn't like Arlong's way of dealing with humans, but is still a sojourner. Although this Arlong is a heinous, bad guy, to humans, he is a caring fellow to Fishman. Since I joined the leader of Arlong, the pirates don't need anything. After taking another sip of wine, the crimson and middle-aged fishman raised his head with blood in his eyes. As long as I can find the Silver Light Pirates, and avenge my brothers. My life is only for the leader of Arlong. Okay, your revenge is my Arlong's revenge, don't worry, leave it to me. Scare, ha ha ha, come on, drink. The laughter of Arlong, who received a member of the Admiral, echoed over the banquet, indicating that he was in a very good mood. This fish man named Kansong is a super rare, dark snapper in Fishman. He can usually ingest phosphorus-containing organic matter from food and store it in his body continuously. Once it encounters an enemy or boats, and can shoot flames from their mouths. And this flame can even burn underwater. It is definitely a fierce general in the sea. In addition, the other party is proficient in Fishman karate, and was once the captain of North Blue's well-known Flame Pirates, offering a reward of 35 million Baileys. The strength is comparable to that of Arlong. If the pirate group of the opponent was not killed by the Silver Light Pirates, such a character would not have taken refuge in Arlong's men. Speaking of which, the Silver Light Pirates seem to be Arlong glanced at Nami, who was uncharacteristically and actually started drinking with the other fishman at the banquet, and his eyes flashed. So happy, don't you? Hachi. The tall sawtooth shark fishman Arlong beckoned, and motioned for fishman Hachi, the octopus on the other side who was eating octopus balls, to come over. You, look for those few human guests, just now. Tell them the kitten is fat. Yes, Arlong. The simple-minded Hachi didn't have any objection. He turned around and jumped into the pool in the center of the banquet with a thud. The pool was connected to the ocean outside. And Arlong, who was sitting in the chair with bold and grandiose, just touched his chin. Oh, did it come together so soon? Nami, I appreciate your abilities more and more. Chapter 28 Tears of Despair. Reinforcements arrive. Ha ha ha, you bastards. Don't you drink water every day? Why do you get down when you drink? Looking at Nami, who was a bit drinking too high, after overturning several fishmen, the cadre named Ju frowned. Arlong, do you want me to teach her a lesson? No. However, Arlong, lying on the chair, just waved his hand lazily. Hopefully she'll be able to laugh so cheerfully for a while. Hey, Arlong. Even Nami, who was an astonishing drinker, got a little drunk after flipping over several fishmen in a row. She came to the boss here with the bottle, in front of Arlong. Look at this enemy who can't wait to eat his flesh and drink his blood. But he had to hide his hatred in his heart. Arlong, does what you said count? Scared? Ha ha ha. Of course, what I say, Arlong, is the absolute truth. I know what you're going to say, Nami. I'll sell Kokoyashi village to you for 100 million Baileys. Money is a good thing, and money is the most reliable thing. I have never doubted it. If there is anything more reliable than money, it is only my compatriots. Ooh. Captain Arlong. Long live Arlong. Amid the revelry of the fishmons, Nami turned and walked out, along with the words she dropped. Don't forget your promise. Ah. On the way home, Nami raised her head and looked at the sky. It's obviously just an ordinary sky, but today it feels extraordinarily clear. Blue sky, white clouds, and when I buy Kokoyashi village, I'll find you guys. If you don't dislike it. No, I still owe you money. Even if I dislike me, I will go to sea with you, so I should use my work to pay back the money. Without me, you will definitely drive the boat into the whirlpool. In the girl's cheerful footsteps, it seems that the white clouds in the sky have also turned into straw hats, 3 knives, and serious faces. However. Marine. Hey, what are you all doing around my door? If there is anything hateful in Nami's heart, of course, Fishman Arlong is the first. If there is anything to say that occupies the second place on the hate list, it must be Marine. If it weren't for these inactions, how could his guys have been ruled by the Fishman pirates of Arlong for 8 years? Squeaky, I'm Colonel Mouse of Marine's 16th branch. The person here really deserves his name, with thief eyebrows and mouse eyes, sharp mouth and monkey cheeks, as his name suggests. That criminal named Nami, is that you? What do you mean, criminals? Facing a group of Marines with guns, Nami sneered again and again. Ah, that's right, I'm a pirate, and I'm a leader of the Arlong pirates. I'm a criminal, yes. The girl folded her arms and tattooed the Arlong pirates on her shoulders to those Marines. Hey, Marine's trash. If you touch me, Arlong won't let you go. You don't understand this, do you? It's ironic, in this corner of East Blue, Marine is actually afraid of pirates. Squeaky, pirate? No, I have not received such information. However, the opposite Colonel Mouse is just the evil issue. I'm here today only because I've had information that there's a thief here. I heard that you stole a lot of treasure from the pirates. Because of the pirates, I will not embarrass you. But stolen things, those stolen goods should be handed over to our Marine government for safekeeping. What did you say? For a moment, Nami was stunned. I said, the money you stole is all, our. Search. Following Colonel Mouse's order, many Marines immediately turned around and dug 3 feet into the ground. Even more brutal than a pirate, even more than a pirate, upright and bright. Thief. You don't care when Arlong kills. You don't care when Arlong controls more than 20 villages and towns nearby. Now, you've come to take care of me as a thief. You know the money. That money Nami used to sell our village from Arlong. Among the villagers watching, a policeman with scars all over his body stood up. Nami was taken aback by his words. Mr. Agn. Nami, we all know. The whole village knows how much you've suffered outside to keep us out of Arlong's control now. The scarred policeman turned and glared at the so-called Marine. Do you think you are still qualified to take this money? However, even so. Squeaky, what Arlong? What pirates? I don't understand what you're talking about. Or do you mean that the whole village here is full of thieves? Do you want to be killed on the spot by our righteous Marine? Colonel, nothing was found in the house. Look around here then. That's 100 million Baileys, not a meter. 100 million Baileys. In an instant, Nami understood everything. Are you sent by Arlong? Squeaky, don't spit, what Arlong? I don't know, ha 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 ha. However, the other party's triumphant expression had already written everything on his face. Damn, you guys. You actually became pirates' lackeys, you. Dare to slander Marine. Facing the passionate villagers, Colonel Mouse just snapped his fingers. Shoot. Bang 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 bang. How can you? Faced with the injured village names all around, Nami was stunned. Squeaky, someone just asked me not to hurt his surveyor, but he didn't say anything about the lives of others. The man named Colonel Mouse bent down and whispered in Nami's ear. You'd better be acquainted, or I don't mind Tuguang's small village. Arlong. Do you want me to give you Kokoyasi village so much? Arlong. Okay, bring 100 million Baileys, I'll let that village go, and give you back your freedom. Arlong. No matter how much time you spend, you can use any means, 100 million Bailey, I will absolutely abide by the agreement. Bang. Arlong. Arlong Park was slammed open by Nami, who stared at the tall fish man lying on the chair. The one who killed her adoptive mother, the slave who took over her village, and now wants to take her away. Ha, this isn't our surveyor. Snapped. Angry Nami grabbed Arlong's collar, gritted her teeth and asked. Did you call those Marines? Didn't you say you'd keep the promise? Didn't you say that as long as I got together 100 million Baileys? However. Snapped. A huge hand grabbed Nami's throat directly and lifted her up in the air. What Marine? When did I break the promise? You said. Lying on the chair, Arlong, who was lifted high by Nami with one hand, split his mouth full of fangs. Oops, could it be that the money you saved was confiscated by Marine? That's really bad luck. Fish man, named Arlong, laughed hypocritically, and laughed wildly. But the agreement is the agreement. As long as you don't put 100 million Bailey in front of me, I can't give you Kokoyasi village. Despicable, shameless. Ha ha ha, whatever you say. Still. Are you finally going to leave those villagers behind and escape alone? Katakana middle dot. Snapped. A slap opened Arlong's arm, and the girl named Nami turned and ran out of Arlong Park. Behind him is the laughter of the fish mons. Arlong, your plan is really vicious. However, if Nami really ignores the people in that village and runs away. Ha ha ha. She won't. For the sake of the village, she will continue to save 100 million Baileys again. Then we will harvest it again. Ha 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 ha. Roman, there's a Marine's warship over there. Facing the dodging Usopp, Roman shook his head indifferently. Leave them alone, I feel like my bandages haven't moved in a long time. As the merchant ship slowly docked, Roman, Usopp, Joseph, Johnny, and even Zoro all stepped off the ship. So Hawkeye will definitely keep his hands, otherwise it will take so long for Zoro to go to the ground. This way. Following the induction of the paper bandage, Roman and the others came. What happened to you here? The ground was a mess, and there were potholes dug everywhere. Many people still had gunshot wounds. Where Roman sensed the bandage, a door and windows were smashed to pieces, as if a house had been blown by a storm. You are. A light blue-haired woman covering the wound on her waist came over, and her eyes flashed when she saw Roman and his party. We're looking for someone named Nami. Are you Roman? However, the blue-haired woman on the opposite side revealed Roman's identity at once, not to mention how handsome he is, mainly because the long-nosed Usopp and the three-knife Zoro behind him are too recognizable. I am. If you want to pay Nami back, you are disappointed. The blue-haired woman pointed to the mess around her. Marine has taken all the money just now. Marine katakana middle dot robbery. Don't these two words match? But money doesn't matter, it matters people. Roman waved his hand. Can you tell me what's going on here? Fake. Everything is fake. Nami, who returned to the village like a corpse, just walked to the entrance of the village and collapsed on her knees on the ground. Arlong. She suddenly took out a dagger and stabbed her shoulder fiercely. Puff. There is a tattoo of her logo representing a member of the Arlong Pirates, which now looks more like a slave brand. Arlong. Clang. With a sound of metal friction, the dagger in the girl's hand was grasped by one hand. Roman. Nami turned her head and saw a familiar face. What are you doing? If you want money. Luffy said he wanted you to be our navigator and let me take you back. What about you? Facing the girl whose tears kept rolling down her cheeks, Roman replied without hesitation. I only kill people. You. Okay, don't say any more. I should know from your sister. Sheets of healing paper bandages flew out of Roman's palm and wrapped around Nami's shoulders. If you have anything to say, wait until I finish killing people. P.S. Thanks to the book friend, designer Jangwo, for the reward and monthly pass, plus one more update. Chapter 29 Destiny Coin Killing Ling Ran. Squeaky, I can't stop laughing. In the waters near Kokoyashi village, dirty laughter echoes in the cabin of a warship that represents justice. 120 million Baileys, it's so profitable to be a thief. The Marine branch colonel named Rat looked at the gold and silver treasures and Bailey pearls piled up in small hills in front of him, and his yellowed pupils were reflected with a greedy luster. It makes me want to be a thief. Squeaky squeak. Ha ha ha. The colonel is joking again. The other lieutenants in the cabin laughed too. The boss laughed. Why didn't I laugh? Dare I not laugh? So what if that thief steals money again? Didn't Marine easily confiscated the stolen goods. Yeah, the colonel still has a way. If there were more thieves, like East Blue, we could all make a fortune just sitting here. But Colonel, a lieutenant picked up Bailey from the treasure pile. Most of this money is stained with dirt, blood, and tattered. Squeaky, it doesn't matter, money is money. This is all the money that the poor little girl believed that freedom would come, and spent 8 years of hard work and conscientious work like a fool to save money. You can't dislike it. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Ah. What's going on outside? The noise of the sailors came from outside the door, causing Colonel Mouse, who was complacent, to lick the beard on his mouth. Those rubbish. I've divided them 100,000 Baileys each, what's not to be satisfied with? As he spoke, he tilted his head to a lieutenant. You, go have a look. The lieutenant nodded and walked out, but as soon as he opened the cabin door, he. Hey, where are you standing and what are you doing? The lieutenant who opened the door stood motionless at the door, making Colonel Mouse in the cabin unhappy. But no matter how upset he is, he can't punish the other party, because corpses do not respond to punishment. Bang! A gate of opening fell straight back, his white eyes were full of stun, and a white flying knife was inserted between his eyebrows. Looking at the blade body that was not in most of it, no matter how you look at it, it is impossible to survive. Who? What? What's the matter? I heard you laugh just now. In the calm voice, a handsome young man walked in over the lieutenant's body on the ground. I hope you'll be able to laugh next time. What? Bold. We are Marine. You mean with the whole Marine Corps? Puff. With a flash of sword light, the head of the lieutenant who was still yelling loudly just now flew into the air. It's a coincidence, I'm a pirate. Roman's icy gaze swept across, making these bullying guys fall into an ice cellar. Pirates kill Marine, just right. Boom. Ah. Row. No. Puff puff. Roman's figure quickly circled in the cabin, and before the words of the lieutenant's begging for mercy were spoken, their heads had already fallen to the ground. In the splendid light of the knife, it became a pile of meaningless pieces of meat. Don't kill me. I'm Colonel Marine I. The Colonel Mouse, who was sitting on the ground, was like a mouse that met a cat. The whole person shivered and kept retreating until he hit the cabin behind him. Facing Roman's cold eyes, he did not hesitate. Kneel down and beg for mercy. Bang bang bang. In a series of kowtows, Colonel Mouse burst into tears. Please let me go, my lord. As long as you spare me, let me do anything. I can help you find information in Marine, cover up your whereabouts, and point out the routes of those merchant ships. Total scum, trash. Roman, who walked across the treasure hill in the center of the room, picked up a gold coin. Okay, I can spare you. Thank you so much. In the face of Colonel Mouse, who had a face after the disaster, Roman raised the gold coin in his hand. Don't worry, let's play a game. Although the world's paper currency barely belongs to the world's common currency, the kings of various countries are always happy to issue gold coins with their own portraits, so. This gold coin has a flower on one side and a head on the other. Throw the avatar and you will live. Throw the flower and you will die. Let fate decide your life or death. This. Half the odds. But in the current situation, it was not the time for Colonel Mouse to bargain, so he could only grit his teeth. Okay. Click. However, Roman just pinched the index finger and thumb hard, and the gold coin in his hand bent and closed from the middle. Ding! A gold coin that can only be cast forever was thrown in front of Colonel Marine's mouse, and Roman's cold voice. Come on, vote. However, the fate of the weak has been played by the strong. This. You are mean. The trembling Colonel Rat raised his head, with the face of, sure die, still remaining, and his yellow-brown pupils were full of despair. Oh, isn't that what you just did to my navigators? Puff. With a flash of sword light, Colonel Marine named Mouse became, too, separated neatly from the middle. The last thought in his mind. Katakana middle dot is the companion of that thief katakana middle dot. Hey, you outlanders, get out of the way. A group of villagers with dung forks, kitchen knives, and iron pots roared at Zoro and Usopp, who were in the middle of the road. This is about our Hozil village, outsiders. Brush. A figure fell from the sky. Although the other party looked like a handsome young man, the white wings behind him and the smell of blood all over his body immediately made the excited villagers suspicious. Everyone in Hozil village. Roman put away his wings and looked at the people who used cutlery, kitchen utensils, and farm implements as weapons. You're just rushing to Arlong Park like this to die. Don't worry about it. Are we going to keep watching Nami out there fighting for us? It's all about us dragging Nami down. It's better to just do it today. Outlanders, you are Nami's partners. A policeman with scars all over his body stood up. Our whole village is here to apologize to you for Nami stealing your things. Speaking of which, the police bowed their heads and bowed down, and the villagers behind also bowed down one by one, facing Roman and the others. Please take Nami with you. She is a kind girl, for our village. So you want to use these things to fight? Roman pointed to the knife tied to the wooden stick in the opponent's hand, the iron pot that was transformed into a shield. With all due respect, you were originally. Is it meant to be sent to death? Please don't stop. No, Roman waved his hand, directly interrupting the others, pleading. I won't stop you, but you need new weapons. Brother Roman, not far away, Joseph and Johnny came with several large wooden boxes, which were all goods from Roman's merchant ship. Although the strength of the two of them is good, there is still a lot of strength. Very good, Roman waved his hand, and white paper flew over and rolled up into a crowbar shape, opened the wooden boxes, and revealed the contents inside. New long-barreled flintlocks lying quietly in the straw, and sharpened swords smeared with grease. These weapons, you take them. Roman grinned Isho with a bloody smile. Even if you want to die, you have to bite off a piece of meat from the enemy, right? Hello, Roman. Zoro spoke casually on the way from Kokoyashi village to Arlong Park. The strength of those villagers, in my opinion, even if they are equipped with weapons, 5 can't deal with an ordinary fishman. So, why let them come to inflict casualties? Roman interrupted Zoro. You meant to say that, right? Yes. You're right, but Zoro. Roman looked back at Kokoyashi village, which was gradually receding. This is a chaotic era. The weak is not scary, the scary thing is that there is not a strong heart. We can help them kill the Arlong pirates, but if there are any, Amal pirates, and, Agu pirates, coming here in the future, do you want us to come back from the Great Route to save people? People, only relying on themselves is the most correct thing. After saying the big truth, Roman turned back to Zoro and Usopp Vivi Isho behind him. Even so, the strength of those fishmen and the villagers is really too different. It's better than this. Before the villagers arrive, let's see who's going to kill more fishmen, how about that? This is also the reason why he has to take the lead. Interesting, I'll take it. Behind the murderous Roman and Zoro in the chatting and laughing, there was Usopp whose legs were like cotton. However, even so, he still closely followed the footsteps of the two people in front of him. Chapter 30 Unexpectedly Strong Enemy Tionk Ability. Clack clack. A series of lights flashed on the gate of Arlong Park, and then the thick gate turned into pieces of large and small geometric figures scattered all over the floor with a clatter. Who? In the face of a few animals approaching the gate, they were frightened and questioned by Fishman. The answer to them is a flash of knife light. PFF'd, puff. Roman and Zoro walked into Arlong Park one by one, and behind them were two fishmons who were slowly falling down. What? Dare to make trouble in Arlong Park? Kill them. Wait a minute. Although there are prudent cadres who told them to wait a moment, these idle fishmen may be used to bullying ordinary people. Seeing Roman and Zoro, they rushed up without hesitation. Many of them don't even have weapons, they just do it with their bare hands. Poof, 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 poof. In the sound of a series of sharp blades cutting flesh and blood, the so-called fishman, whose physical strength is far superior to ordinary people, is similar to a dead fish in front of a real master. Ah, my compatriots. Trash fish is trash fish. Roman flicked off the blood on the sailor's knife, and aimed the bright and clean weapon at the tall figure who had just bounced off the chair. Hello, are you Arlong? Who are you? What are you doing on my site? Facing Arlong's questioning with a gloomy face, Roman just answered calmly. We are pirates, the people of the Straw Hat Pirates. As to why we're here. Thinking of Nami kneeling on the ground crying and self-mutilating, Roman's expression darkened. You made our navigator cry. What a nonsense reason. Your navigator, although Arlong looked rough, he was actually a cunning person. Otherwise, it would be impossible to collude with Marine for 8 years, and even escaped Grandpa Luffy's jungle, to become a soil emperor-like existence in this corner of East Blue. We don't even know. Could it be? Fishman named Arlong frowned and thought of a possibility. Aren't you the unlucky bastards who were deceived by Nami? There are two errors in your words. Roman clasped his two knives behind his back and strode toward the opponent, completely ignoring the ordinary fish man around him. Number 1, Nami didn't deceive us. Secondly, it's not a bad luck for us to meet Nami. Roman, who strode forward, stood in front of Arlong. Although his height was not low, he appeared in front of the opponent's 2.6-meter figure. However, fighting is never simply more than height and strength, but... Third, you shouldn't get me so close. Puff. The two knives in Roman's hand suddenly slashed from bottom to top to Arlong in front. It's like performing two, drawing swords, at the same time. The speed of the sailor's knife instantly changed from extremely slow to extremely fast. The two knives seemed to cross the boundary of time and space, and disappeared in a hurry. When they reappeared, it was already accompanied by a rain of blood, and two majestic swords slammed toward the sky. Cut out in front. Paper dance, double living together. For a while, the sword energy is vertical and horizontal, and the cold light is dazzling. It made Zoro's eyes flash in the back. Roman, you also said that you can't use swordsmanship. Cut. However, Roman, who hit the success, snorted and jumped back, because a huge fist slammed into the place where he stood just now. In an instant, the hard slate on the ground burst open on all sides like tofu. Human, how dare you? Don't be impulsive, Chief Arlong. Arlong's pursuit was stopped by Chansing, who was carrying a mutilated fish man's body in one hand. Just at the crunch, he suddenly pushed Arlong away from the side, and then pulled an ordinary fish man over to block the knife. Otherwise, just by looking at Fishman with only the upper half of his body left in his hands, he knew the danger of Roman's move just now. Kansong, and you. However, Arlong, who was rescued by the other party, showed no appreciation and glared at the crimson fish man Kansong next to him. You actually use your compatriots as a shield. Leader Arlong, leave this enemy to me. Facing Arlong's anger, Kansong let go of the corpse in his hand while speaking, and stepped forward to face Roman. If I lose, I am willing to suffer the scorching sun. Hiss. The other fish man, who was still complaining, immediately shut up. Although fish man can live on land like humans, they need a lot of water to maintain surface humidity compared to humans. So dryness is their worst enemy. The punishment of the burning sun, you know what it is by the name. A sturdy fish man of several hundred kilograms can be dried into dozens of kilograms of dried fish, after being tied to the scorching sun for a few days. Definitely the most brutal punishment for fish man. It's troublesome. Roman frowned. For him, there were no constraints like fairness or decency. Whether it is a sneak attack or a plot, as long as it can win, it is a useful means. It's a pity that I didn't get the first time. No, Arlong was seriously injured. I'm afraid the next battle will not be very easy to fight. And who are you? Roman frowned at the middle-aged fishman who looked more like a fisherman than a pirate in front of him. Although his memory of his previous life was very vague, shouldn't Arlong's subordinates only have 3 bosses? I glanced at the 3 guys standing next to Arlong who were clearly painting, above the other soldiers, a 6-armed octopus, a perverted fish with long lips, and a karate with arms with 2 sides like a fan of knives. Costume fish man. Then the red guy in front of him is counter-attacker, Roman. I didn't expect to meet you here. The other party called out Roman's heels, causing Roman to frown. You know me. Hee, didn't expect me to be forgotten so quickly. The crimson fish man shook his head mockingly, and then his face turned solemn. You should remember the name of the flame pirates, right? Are you Captain Kansong? No, this guy actually came here from North Blue. It's a pity if you want revenge on the Silver Light Pirates. No wonder this guy looks so familiar. Roman remembered that this guy was the captain of North Blue's Flaming Pirates, a group of unlucky bastards once killed by the Silver Light Pirates. I heard that the captain of the other party was going out at the time, but I didn't expect it to be. Really. However, the opponent put on a fighting stance on his own. As the battle captain of the Silver Light Pirates, you are also on my revenge list. That's why we don't have to talk. Well. As soon as the good words fell, Roman's whole body immediately rushed towards the opponent like a gust of wind. The sailor knives in his hands are as cold as snow and as thin as a piece of paper, physical, reflecting the sunlight in the sky. When the two knives are swung, it is like a dazzling lightning, which faintly seals all the opponent's evasion space between vertical and horizontal opening and closing. The hurricane brought by the knife wind condensed into a bloody and fierce momentum and pressure, and pressed heavily towards the Scarlet Fish Man, and even the pool 20 meters away rippled in circles, so fierce and fierce that the ordinary fish man watching heartbroken for it. Facing Roman's sharp swords, the Crimson Fish Man on the opposite side just took a deep breath, and then, woo! I saw this fish man named Kansong blowing up on all sides, his face flushed as red as fire, he opened his mouth and spit, a blue flame condensed into a azure blue fire column that was several meters long, causing a raging fire wave, leading Roman to the front. Cover it. And #*# and dollar. The flames rushed towards him, and Roman only had time to fly back. Immediately cancel the resident, paper dance, iron armor, and even discard the two knives in your hands at the same time. However, he was still wrapped in flames, although Roman rolled on the ground immediately to put out the fire. But, like water off a duck's back, this flame actually adheres to the skin and burns, as if it is about to drill into the flesh. Roman had to create several layers of paper on the skin at once, and then throw it away immediately. Although he intensified the fire on his body, he excreted the thing that penetrated into the flesh. This effect and color. Roman shrugged his nose, and said his guess with an ugly face. This is phosphorus. That's right, Fishman can on the opposite side let out a sigh of relief and brought out a string of sparks. I'm a fishman of the dark snapper type, and I can usually ingest phosphorus-containing organic matter from food and store it in my body constantly, and spray it out to fight enemies when I need it. This Nima. Roman's face darkened, his fire-breathing ability, and once he was stained with immortal phosphorus-based burning substances. This is simply TNK's fruit ability. Zoro. The helpless Roman glanced at the three swordsmen next to him, now turned into a green-haired swordsman with a sword. Sorry, I'm going to make you desperate. Hee, it's exactly what I want. Chapter 31-40 Par Throw Rise from the Ashes. Woo. A sky-blue flame chased Roman's figure through the battlefield, making Roman, who did not dare to use the fruit's power, depressed. If I knew it earlier, I would have prepared some weapons on my body. Not as bare-handed as it is now. In this case. Then. I'll beat you up empty-handed. Roman was shocked, and the muscles all over his body swayed like mercury rolling, full of the beauty of power. The whole person was like a ferocious beast that suddenly erupted, and its figure turned into a phantom, bringing a violent wind around an arc and rushing towards the fire-breathing fish-man Kansong. Even without the weapon, Roman's mighty aura made Kansong realize that he was definitely not to be messed with. As soon as his head turned, a sky-blue flame in his mouth rushed towards Roman with intense high temperature. At the same time, two fishmen behind him also took the opportunity to stab Roman's defenseless back with their weapons. Roman, be careful. However, just when Zoro's reminder was just issued, Roman's feet slammed with force, causing the entire battlefield to tremble suddenly. And where he exerted his strength, the cracked slate floor turned up into a barrage of earth and stone, blocking him, and Vivi blocked the oncoming flames. This kick was able to avoid the blue flame of Kansong, and at the same time, Roman turned around suddenly. The two open palms suddenly grabbed the throats of the two fishmen who were planning to sneak attack, and then bang! Holding the throat of a fishman with both hands, Roman suddenly burst out of energy and stomped his feet. The strength of this leg is 10,000 jin, it is really as heavy as the might of Mount Tai, and it moves like the roar of Wulei. I saw that the stone floor under my feet was sunken, and the explosion spread in circles. The other fishman surrounding him was shaken to the ground. The two fishmen who were strangled by their throats screamed and struggled desperately. However, the so-called 10 times human power, the sharp claws can only draw a white mark on Roman's body, making bursts of harsh metal friction. Just like that, Roman turned around abruptly. Damn! Two tall fishmen stood in front of Roman, covering him tightly. Forcing the fishman named Kansong to stop breathing fire, Roman has already quickly approached the opponent with the fishman shield, intent to rely on hostages for close combat. Facing Roman, who was hiding behind the two fishmen, the crimson middle-aged fishman Kansong's face was as calm as a statue. Naive. Brush. As the world was spinning, Roman flew upside down, and the two fishmen he used as a shield have also separated to the side, one left and one right. After spinning around in place for a few times to remove their strength, they were actually unscathed. Snapped. Roman, who folded up and turned over in midair, landed on the ground and looked at the crimson fishman on the opposite side with a serious face. Fishman karate, air dance. On the opposite side, Kansong, who was posing an upright posture, faced Roman. His expression did not change at all. Unlike other fishman karates that focus on lethality, my karate is only one move, throwing. It's just different from ordinary people's throws. Other people's throws need to be caught wrapped before throwing, but my air dance only needs to touch a person's weapon, clothes corner, or even skin. I can throw it out. That's right. How could Captain Kansong, who once had a bounty of 35 million Baileys, only have a trick like breathing fire? Even if he doesn't have the ability to breathe fire, his skill of throwing people or weapons out with just a touch, coupled with Fishman's powerful physical qualities, is what makes him really scary. In fact, if in water, he can even throw invisible water like a weapon. Young man, your swordsmanship, fisting, and fruiting abilities are very good. From the new group. But it's so messy. If you can't specialize in one, it's impossible to climb to the top. Ha, sorry. Roman flexed his muscles. I'm not a warrior swordsman. Swords, fists, and fruit abilities are just tools for me. All I want is victory. And only victory, for whoever loses has no future. So. Clap la la. Pieces of white paper appeared in Roman's hands and turned into two slender samurai swords. It's useless. Brush. The two knives in his hand were thrown to Zoro by Roman, because a footstep from far to near had already sounded outside Arlong Park. That is, the villagers of Kokoyashi village have arrived. Damn, I originally thought that I could cleanly eliminate a few cadres before the villagers came, and then let those people shout, and count the miscellaneous soldiers by the way. Now it seems. Zoro, Usopp, Joseph, Johnny. Roman named several high-end combat powers of his own in one breath. Help me hold off the other fishman cadres. Roman narrowed his eyes as the villagers shouted and killed outside the fence. In a minute, I'll take care of this guy first. Kill. Ah. Ho ho ho. Go to hell. The buckshot is flying and the sword is roaring. Mutated roars, splatters of flesh and blood, everyone fishman is desperately killing the enemies around him. The air became hot and stagnant, as if hot sand was constantly pouring into the guts, and only the blood of the enemy could quench the thirst. One is strong and the other is well equipped. One side is arrogant, the other is full of hatred. When the villagers of Kokoyashi village appeared in Arlong Park in full force, there was no talk or negotiation. The only way for both sides is to insert weapons into each other's bodies, smash their hearts, and smash their brains. Either you die or I live. This is war. Bang. 30 seconds have passed. Facing Roman, who was easily thrown away by himself again, the middle-aged fishman named Kansong was neither happy nor sad. You can't beat me. Who? Damn, is this the legendary butterfly effect? I didn't expect that because of my relationship, I would meet such a difficult opponent here. Roman glanced at the entire battlefield. Zoro's three-handed knives pressed the six-handed, six-sword style, octopus cadre, and winning was not a problem. Usopp led the long-mouthed fishman cadre away, and he didn't know how the battle was going. Joseph and Johnny are being beaten by the karate fish man with a bone blade on his arm. Defeat depends on how long it can last. And the battle between ordinary fishman and the villagers can only be said to be half a catty. It looks like it's going to be a stalemate for now, but the other party also has Arlong as the leader here. He sat on the chair with a livid face, and the murderous aura on his body was getting thicker and thicker, indicating that he was about to, can't hold his breath, and he was going to let go of his dignity as a leader and start a killing spree. The war situation is unfavorable. Do you want a strategic shift? How can it be? Ah, sorry, Nami. I originally wanted to solve the opponent beautifully, but ended up in such a situation. If the villagers suffered too many casualties, it would surely make you more sad, right? Girls' tears. So, give me. Bang. Roman's whole body rushed towards fishman named Kansong again. The strong wind is blowing like a knife, and there are only rapidly magnifying opponents in his eyes, and die. Paper dance, big guns. The paper rolls flying out of his arms were wrapped into a huge lance, piercing the air, piercing the distance between the two, and killing Kansong like an electric drill. Its momentum is like a dragon, and it is as fast as a shock. But it's useless. A mouthful of sky blue flames. It's really useless. As a well-informed captain, Kansong knows very well that Roman's devil fruit ability is to create paper, and in front of his own flame, there is only defeat. Boom. However, in the flames that exploded in front of him, a flaming man rushed out. Snapped. A flaming palm grabbed Kansong's throat before he could react, and the other flaming hand grabbed one of his wrists, and the Captain Fishman was crushed with great force. Overwhelmed to the ground. Don't you like flames? Flaming man. Compared with his usual calmness and indifference, the blood and madness belonging to young people finally appeared on him. Then I'll let you burn. Let's see who gets burnt first. Paper dance, sea of fire. Boom boom boom. The paper that Roman made with all his strength instantly ignited the two of them into a flaming torch. No, I should say the sea of fire. The soaring flames arrogantly radiated light and heat in all directions, and even abruptly separated the chaotic battlefield. Ah, fire! Run! Water, water, give me water! Faced with the raging flames spreading from the two of them, the fishman's side turned pale in surprise, and one by one, they retreated in panic, fearing that they would be involved in it. And the other side. Roman, you bastard! Zoro, who clenched his teeth, faced Hachi, the six-armed octopus swordsman who was entangled in him, with a fierce look in his eyes. Go away. I won't let. Ghost slash. Crack clap clap. In the sudden explosion, Zoro, who was raging like ghosts and gods, directly chopped the opponent's six katana swords into pieces with one move, and then tornado. Puff puff. Poor Hachi instantly flew into the air with blood all over his body, and Zoro's figure was already rushing towards Roman without hesitation. Roman. Among the people of Kokoyashi village, Nami looked at Roman who was caught in the flames, and tears kept rolling down her eyes. She has shed more tears in the past few days than she has in the past 8 years combined. Even with the raging flames in front of her, she still rushed over without hesitation. Ha ha ha, you see it. Captain Kansong. Roman in the flames laughed wildly, as if the flames around him were just a festival celebration. One side can't avoid it. One side rushed forward. One side is afraid. One party is worried about crying. This is my companion, my current companion. Such a good companion as mine, and you have nothing. The captain of the Flame Pirates, and the battle captain of the Silver Light Pirates, both of them are pirates who have lost everything in their past. It's just that one has found a place to live and made friends. And another. You won. Boy. It's a headache to play. Chapter 32 Decisive Battle Arlong Companion Force. Roman. You guy. Roman, toothless Isho, stood up facing Zoro and Nami, who ran to his side. I'm fine. Well, Roman's body is charred from top to bottom right now, and he is so perfect that he can play the murderer when he goes to the world of Conan. It really has nothing to do with nothing. But good. With 3 gritted teeth, Arlong, the leader of Fish Man, finally decided to make a move. And Zoro and Nami also stood beside Roman with weapons, and ha ha ha, cough cough. Outside Arlong Park, Usopp, who was covered in injuries, also walked in, leaning on the wall. I killed that perverted fish with a long mouth. Facing Usopp's raised thumb, Roman, who was in the shape of an African Emirates, also gave a thumbs up. Well done, Usopp. It was indeed a good job. Roman was not at all surprised that Zoro was able to defeat the opponent's cadres. But Usopp was able to kill a cadre, which Roman did not expect. Okay, so disregarding our great fish man, Arlong is about to explode at the arrogant attitude of these guys in front of him. But today he was destined to be only more furious. Ha ha ha, noble fish man. Roman looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. After Kansong was killed, he was finally able to use the fruit power with confidence. Pieces of paper flew out to wrap him, avoiding the embarrassment of Guo Ben. At the same time, a sailor knife and a shield fell into his hands. The sailor knife pointed at Arlong's proud nose. The so-called noble. Are you referring to the nobility, whose prices remain high in the slave market of Sabayati? Human, you are courting death. Hey, what? Someone mentioned the pain point. Roman took a few steps forward to confront Arlong, and the icy sarcasm kept pouring out of his mouth. The people from East Blue don't know your details. Do you think no one knows? The so-called fish man is nothing but the scarce goods that many pirates and slave traders compete for on the Great Course. What? This? The villagers in the surrounding Kokoyashi village were stunned. The fish man who oppressed them for 8 years and occupied more than 20 surrounding villages and towns, the invincible and irresistible fish man, is actually noble fish man. Are you trying to laugh at people? A race caught as a slave is worthy of. Shut up. Shish. Coming. A few points of hanmang shot towards Roman at a speed far exceeding that of bullets. Although the mouth was full of rhetoric, Roman, who was engrossed in secret, was shocked, and the shield in his hand immediately blocked the path of those bullets. Puff puff. In a series of noises, Roman's shield easily took over the opponent's fish man karate, Yatake shark. The so-called fish man karate, Yatake shark, is a move that shoots water like a bullet. Not only does the damage not lose to bullets, but it is also very concealed. Just paper is absorbent. Immediately after the water bomb is a huge mouth that opens to 90 degrees. And shark teeth like 2 rows of daggers. Click. The shark teeth bit down fiercely, instantly biting off a large piece of the shield in Roman's hand. But brush. While forcing the opponent back with a knife, Roman sneered. Don't just eat what other people are capable of making. Hey. Puff. The shield bitten off by Arlong suddenly swelled from a block to a hedgehog in his mouth. Although it is just a thorn ball simulated by paper, it is enough to hurt the soft mouth. Ah. Arlong, who had a hedgehog in his mouth, took a few steps backwards in pain, and reached out to his entire gums. Poof. Boy, I'll make you die miserably, miserably. He directly pulled out the entire gum, and by the way also pulled out the thorn ball, stuck in his mouth, and Arlong's face darkened. The whole person squatted down, stored energy, and made a sprint. And then suddenly kicked. Shark on darts. With his strong physical fitness, Arlong rushed towards Roman, rushed like a torpedo, flew away. He is proud that his nose that can penetrate the steel is the deadliest weapon. Well done, just waiting for you. Paper dance, Mamiji hunting. Wow! A row of sharp papers suddenly grew on the ground, standing in front of Roman like a forest of knives. And if you look at it from the front, you won't notice this kind of paper-thin trap at all. But, puff! Arlong, who was flying at high speed, suddenly changed his eyes, his feet suddenly stepped on the break, on the ground, and the earth and stone splashed, dragging two deep traces on the ground. At the same time, cross your arms in front of you. Crash! Although Arlong, who was braking at high speed, did not kill himself like the former, Captain Kuro, he was also cut with several wounds by the paper knife, and Roman had already been overwhelmed and killed him with a sword and a shield. The light of Roman's sword flickered on and off, and the shield blocked the unloading force. But Arlong is tall and has long arms, and his well-trained muscles are not inferior to steel. Even if he resisted Roman's sword shield with the chainsaw mode turned on, it was nothing but a skin injury. It looks like it's evenly matched. On the other side, Zoro, who was blocking the last karate fish man Kadri, glanced over there and raised his brows. The battle between Roman and Arlong was too violent, and when they hit there, they were flying sand and rocks, and the walls collapsed. And as the highest combat power of both sides, Zoro has just been stabbed by Hawkeye and is in a state of residual blood. Their victory or defeat largely represents the victory or defeat of this battle. So, Brother Arlong, kill that human. Mermaid is the strongest. Kokoyashi village was not to be outdone, and various cheers came one after another. Come on, big brother. Hack that fish man. Roman, come on, bang. After another fight, Arlong took advantage of the opportunity when Roman was knocked back, and slammed into the tall building next to him. The solid masonry burst like tofu in front of him, and he rushed inside immediately. Not running away, of course, but good a big weapon. It was a big knife that was 3 meters long. No, it's more of a serrated blade than a broadsword. Scare hee human. Taking out the weapon from the room, the eyes of the tall fish man named Arlong have turned golden. It was like the look in the eyes of a sea king after being provoked. I will use Zanfang to cut you into pieces. Said that the 3-meter-long weapon in his hand suddenly swung out to Roman, and just the piercing sound of the air was like a high-speed fighter jet whizzing past. With a single slash, a knife mark of more than 10 meters even stretched out on the floor. But snapped. A foot wrapped in paper stepped on the back of the knife named Zanfang, and Roman sneered. Who do you want to hit with this big saw? Although Roman did not specially develop the ability of Kami-e to strengthen himself, but paper fruit still greatly improved his evasion ability. This kind of violent attack, just the gust of wind can knock him out automatically. Push open. You. Arlong suddenly mentioned it, and then the long knife was stomped under Roman's foot. The scene looks as if Roman has the upper hand, and the victory has been decided. A smile slowly appeared on the faces of the surrounding villagers, which gradually turned into various cheers. Good job. Just kill Arlong in one go. Finally. Good, almost overturned. Roman heaved a sigh of relief and settled it like this. In the blink of an eye, Roman's body that had been trained day and night suddenly shook. Hey, why are the people around me so surprised? Why did Zoro change his face? What are you calling Nami? With his feet empty, Roman's whole body crooked. On the other hand, Arlong, who was already full of grief, waved the huge Zanfang in his hand with a 3-pointed joy and slammed towards Roman. To block. Although Roman held the shield across his chest for the first time, his whole body was as soft as bones were suddenly taken away. He was shocked, and was slashed by Arlong and flew backwards. Huang. It was as if he had been hit head-on by a high-speed train, and the golden flowers were popping up in front of him. Roman's whole body flew upside down, and there was a burning smell in his throat. There was a series of severe pains from the back, and a series of chaotic noises were heard in the ears. It was obvious that some building had suffered. Cough cough, I am falling from the broken wall. Roman, who was half kneeling on the ground, touched his face. It's all smooth blood to start with. Roman. He couldn't see it himself, but others could see it clearly. Roman wrapped himself into a mummy face with paper, and red and black blood slowly flowed out of the 7 orifices. Is it? Roman stood up staggeringly, and his eyes fell on Kansong, who had been scorched. Scared ha 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 ha. And Arlong, who succeeded in one blow, was not in a hurry to attack, but laughed wildly. See you, weak human. Kansong's flames are mixed with highly poisonous. You have been fighting with him for so long, and the poison should have invaded your internal organs by now. Saying that, his huge serrated knife pointed at Roman, who shook his head while clutching his temples, and his sarcasm was clear. You're done. Careless. But I do get weaker, Arlong. But it doesn't mean that you, a trash fish, has become stronger. Being frightened by Impel Down's food, ran to East Blue's scum. Kill you. Brush. The huge serrated knife swung down and split the wall in half on the spot. But Roman has. Fly. There's no escape. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Roman barely created a paper wing in the air, he was slashed by Arlong, who jumped up. The two fought along the building behind them, until they were close to the top of the building. Roman was finally smashed into the building by Arlong. Oops, let's help. That room is. Roman, holding the 3-section stick in her hand, Nami gritted her teeth. I can't do anything myself, I can only watch my companions fight for me. This feeling. Whoa. Jumping into the gap Roman made, Arlong looked around the room and put away the huge serrated knife in his hand. This is where Nami works, and the whole room is filled with charts of the nearby seas. Actually. Roman, who was lying on the other side of the room, raised his head and looked at the tall fish man in front of him. One was seriously injured, and the other had more than half of his strength. Personally, I don't hate Fishman. Do you want to beg for mercy now? Facing Roman's words, Fishman named Arlong twitched the corners of his mouth, revealing a hideous smile. I know the grievances between Fishman and humans, the Sun Pirates, Fisher Tiger, Tenryubito. I know all about it. If you guys fight Tenryubito and their lackeys in the New World, I think maybe one day we might be friends, but... Roman leaned on the wall next to him and slowly got up. A great man once said, the strong are angry, and the stronger are angry, the cowardly are angry, but the weak are angry. Having said that, Roman raised his head and looked directly into Arlong's eyes. Even though the red and black blood was still seeping out, there was still no fear in his eyes. Going to East Blue to bully ordinary people. Fishman Empire. There must be a limit to self-deception. Any vice admiral from the Great Root will kill you like strangling a bug. Have you finished your last words? Arlong on the opposite side gritted his teeth, but couldn't stop his trembling lips. Of course he understands that the Arlong Empire he talks about is just a soap bubble, so. I'll kill you, then kill those people below, and then kill Nami. What are you laughing at? Ha ha ha, even though he couldn't even stand up, Roman laughed happily. You can't kill anyone today because you're going to die here. Scare ha ha ha, what did you use to kill me? Arlong didn't mind having a word with Ramondo, it was just barking of a lost dog, to him anyway. Use your body that can't stand up straight, or do you rely on the rubbish below? That's right, 6 broken ribs, a fractured left hand, and a severe poison. As for the 100% skin burns on the whole body, it's just a minor problem. No matter how you look at it, the mountains and rivers are exhausted, right? Nami. Roman's voice came from the top floor of the building, resounding throughout the battlefield. Lend me your power. When everyone was stunned, only Nami covered her mouth, and the crystal tears kept falling again. Scare ha ha ha, Nami, Nami. In the room on the top floor, Arlong was already laughing back and forth. After he touched the tears from the corners of his eyes, his face suddenly became fierce. Nami's power, is this your last resort? That's right. Roman reached out and took a chart on the table and raised it. Do you know what this is? Chart. Wrong. Roman, whose whole body was exhausted, cracked the corners of his mouth, his snow-white teeth like a wolf. The answer is paper. Paper dance. A proclamation sounded in the penthouse of Arlong Park. It was Roman's voice. Death storm. Meow. Howling. The gust of wind one after another. A high-speed whirling wind appeared on the top floor of the building, and then the entire Arlong Park starts from the top floor and is instantly wiped out in the racing wind. In that high-speed rotating wind, there was a tall figure screaming mournfully. Ah! We fishmen are. Shut up you. Puff puff puff. The huge, burst wind, spun down like the sword of the god of war, cutting the tall, Arlong Park, into ruins. And a figure slowly walked out of it. R.O. Roman. Although the whole body is wrapped in white paper, there is no doubt about this figure. Where's Big Brother Arlong? Where's Arlong? No, impossible. While the fishmons were lost and trembling, Roman slowly stretched out his hand and caught a chart floating in front of him. You're Arlong, right here. Well, his flesh and blood are all smeared on this sky-filled chart. Only a patch of red remains. Roman. Facing the orange-haired girl who was crying and laughing in front of her, Roman was just proudly isho. I said, kill just make. The scene in front of him turned black, and the young man named Roman fell forward and was caught by a pair of soft arms. Well, I'll leave it to you. Roman. Chapter 33 Inhuman Constitution Carnival Celebration. Severe burns all over the body, broken ribs and arms, multiple internal bleeding. It's a miracle to be alive. The good news is that the toxins in his body are being slowly excreted by himself. Who dealt with the injuries you encountered before? Facing the old and unfamiliar voice, a group of familiar voices rang in my ears. Roman. X4. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Well, it looks like you need to recruit a ship doctor. A soft thing stroked his cheek, causing Roman to slowly open his eyes. Are you awake? In the voice of surprise, the hazy colors in front of Roman's eyes began to gather, turning into a familiar face. Nami. Roman opened his mouth, but his throat was as dry as a desert. Come, drink water. Without waiting for Roman to say anything, Nami carefully helped him up, took the pillow and put it behind Roman. Then he poured a glass of warm water and handed it over. Thank you. Tun tun tun. It's me who should say thank you. The orange-haired girl looked at the man without an inch of intact skin. Maybe in the eyes of others, Roman now looks like a monster, but in Nami's eyes, he is an out-and-out hero. Compared with the previous Roman who had a straight face, as if everything was perfect, Nami felt more. Don't worry, I will take care of you for the rest of your life. I'm not injured enough to need someone to take care of me. Although there are serious injuries from the outside to the inside, Roman is very clear that the fatal injury to ordinary people, for him. As long as I'm not exercising vigorously, I can walk on the ground now. But your appearance. Nami lowered her eyes, although most men at sea didn't care much about their appearance. But someone like Roman with severe burns all over his body is like a ghost, and can no longer be described as a mere disfigurement. Oh, you said that. Roman raised his hand, and there were crimson cracks under the charred outer skin, like the ferocious earth after the magma solidified. Well, it does look a little ugly, but... As Roman closed his eyes, he focused on his arms, then... Paper dance, molting. Clap. The charred skin peeled off like paper, revealing the pale skin underneath. It was even too fair to see the tiny blood vessels in blue and purple under the skin. Sure enough. Roman nodded with satisfaction. Devil fruit is a magical thing. As long as he has a big enough brain hole, and has the physical strength and energy to push the fruit, he can do many incredible things. Brush. Lifting the quilt, Roman got out of bed and closed his eyes to fully control the power of the fruit. Paper dance. New growth. Caw caw caw. The red dead skin on Roman's body swelled, cracked, and fell off in bursts of clicks. Pieces of charred skin peeled off, revealing a brand new Roman. Fair skin, inverted triangle shape, plump muscles full of strength, six-pack abs like a vest, slender arms, although thin, but give people a very explosive beauty. The light in the room shone on Roman's concave and concave muscles, coating him with a golden color. Tick. The sound of dripping saliva brought Nami back to her senses, and turned her head blushing quickly. Roman, you were not dressed. Oh. Sorry. Roman patted his forehead, and in a clatter, sheets of paper flew out. Forming an ordinary suit on the surface of her body also made Nami, who was quietly peeking next to her, relieved, and a sense of annoyance welled up in her heart. Paper dance, clothes. What a pity. By the way, how will the battle at Arlong Park follow up? Although he can stand here, it must be the victory of the human side. But victories and big wins. It went well. Nami stood up and told Roman with a smile. After you passed out, those fishmen seemed to go crazy. They even summoned a sea monster as large as a hill from the sea. At this moment, Luffy's Sanji appeared from behind the sea monster, and he killed the sea monster that could destroy a small town in one move. And those ordinary fishmen were no match for them, and they were all beaten up very quickly. Fly. Yeah. It seems that Luffy has successfully recruited the chef. Very good. Finally I don't have to cook anymore. Roman touched his good as ever appearance. Although the internal fractures, toxins, etc. were not very good, but the whole body was burnt to charcoal, so he could stand up so quickly. What an inhuman constitution. As night fell, the sea was still calm today. Kokoyashi village is still going on. People who once endured humiliation and lived for this day can laugh freely. There are carnivals everywhere, laughter everywhere, bonfires, dances, whether you dance well or not, as long as you immerse yourself in this sea of joy, for the hard-won freedom, in order to finally get rid of the fate of being slaves, let the whole Kokosha offers chants and wine to the heroes. When Roman came out of the ward, he looked at the three guys who were said to be equally, severely injured. Tobacco, alcohol, meat. Very well, the trio of beautiful swordsmen bringing meat is alive. Didn't you say that you were both badly injured? Roman glanced at it. Luffy and Sanji first dealt with the Krieg pirates, and then immediately rushed to the Kokoyashi village, which should be scarred, but now it seems that it is completely unscathed. Even Zoro, who had been stabbed by the eagle eye before, seemed to have disappeared from the wound across his entire chest, and was holding a huge wine glass. Do people in this world have passive abilities such as high-speed regeneration and wound healing? Romance, who was in doubt, only nodded when he saw the bandages on Nami's shoulders and Usopp's face with gauze everywhere. Understood. I actually forgot about the fact that all the main members of the Straw Hats were blood cows. Speaking of blood cows, Roman glanced at Luffy enviously. He was trained by Garp to return life, food version, since he was a child, and he ate the rubber fruit to gain super endurance. How many masters and boosters are being dragged down by him is simply a bug. Forget it, I don't seem to have the right to speak of them. Nami-san. As soon as Nami came out, a blonde man in a suit named Sanji rolled over. However, facing the scene where Nami Vivi dodged back, and then took Roman's hand, Sanji's face became solemn, and he bent down. Sorry to interrupt. Then he turned around gracefully, and then go around Nami's older sister, Nojiko, to be courteous. Why is Sanji's character a bit? You guys continue to eat and drink, and I'll take Roman for a walk. Roman looked up at the bright moon in the sky, wondering what was the point of going out for a walk at this time. But forget it, let's do a rehabilitation exercise. With Nami leading the way, Roman was led along by the other party, and the crowd gradually dwindled until it disappeared. Soon, a forest of oranges appeared in their eyes. Here. Roman remembered clearly that this was Nami's orange grove. But now they are not walking in the direction of Nami's house, but facing the sea. Belmir, your daughters are all grown up. A voice came from the front, causing Roman to lighten his footsteps subconsciously, and then he realized that he no longer needed to be so cautious. Just like you. Wow. The sound of liquid pouring out quietly sounded under the moonlight. Nami met a comrade who can laugh and cry together. They have already avenged you, and they have unshackled us. The sacrifices we've made are just too many. All we can do is laugh and live. The middle-aged man who was talking to himself turned his head, his serious face relaxed. It's Nami, is this Roman? No wonder the middle-aged policeman with scars all over his body hesitated. After all, the scene where Roman was burned into an African chief by flames was too popular. In less than a day, intact, Roman stood in front of him. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. It's me. Roman saw the doubt in the other party's eyes and took the initiative to explain, it's my devil fruit ability. Although it looks healed on the outside, it's actually a mess inside. That's it, the policeman with scars nodded with satisfaction, not knowing whether it was the magic of devil fruits, or... Nami, come see Belmir. Yes, Uncle Ajien. The scar policeman named Ajien lets Kai Sheng, Gecko go down, and behind him is a small mound of crosses. This shape, needless to say, can be guessed. Is it the tomb of the one named Belmir? If combined with the words of the other party just now, it should be Nami's mother. Boy. While Nami stepped forward to lay down the offerings for the tomb, the scarred policeman Ajien, who passed by Roman's shoulders, whispered. Nami is going to sea with you as a pirate. If you make him cry I can't kill you either. Do you understand? Understood. Although it was just a threat, without any deterrence, Roman still nodded seriously. I don't have the habit of making my companions cry, so don't worry. That's fine. After the police Uncle Ajien left, Nami had quietly finished the paying tribute, and walked to Roman, looking up at the boy under Gecko. The moonlight tonight is so beautiful. Roman, although I know you don't care, I still have to say, thank you, to you again cautiously. Thank you for avenging my mother, thank you for breaking the shackles on me. Also, in the days to come, please take care of me. Forever. Of course. Facing the girl's strange words, Roman nodded and answered without hesitation, we are all crew members of the Straw Hat Pirates. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. PFF'd. What are you laughing at? Nothing. Nami first crossed Roman's side, then turned to look at the thinking boy with a brighter smile. Come on, let's go back. Chapter 34 Infrastructure Self-Improvement Alliance established. Get out of the way, out of the way. Luffy galloped past with a huge log on his back, and shouts drifted in the wind. The king of moving bricks, I'm determined. Seeing Luffy commuting to and from the construction site and the lumberyard full of energy, the other workers were infected with his enthusiasm. Everyone work hard. Haha, Nami's friends are so warm. With their help, 10 days no, a fortress can be built in a few days, right? There are no excavators in this world, and no large construction machinery. But in terms of efficiency, it is not inferior to Roman's previous life. The key lies in the constitution of the people of this world. Luffy's powerful, all-purpose tool. Zoro's cutting speed with a knife and a row of trees can make Shang dare not speak out, and Sanji can play a giant rock like a football with his feet. With them, it is much faster and more efficient than any mechanization. Anyway. In Roman's words, before he can make a profit, let the trio do more rehabilitation training. And Roman Reigns, who claims to have no good luck yet, is. The above is the outline of the alliance that I proposed. In the widest building in Kokoyasi village, which is the village chief's house, Roman is sitting at the head of the conference table. On the right is the scar policeman named Ajian, on the left is Nami who acts as the meeting record, and behind him is like adore God Joseph and Johnny, who usually grab knives left and right. On the long conference table, there were 20 people sitting, separately to other villages and towns ruled by Arlong. By the way, before Roman and the others arrived, the town of Hausha next door was destroyed by the Arlong gang just because they couldn't pay the population tax. The population was slaughtered by more than half and is now being slaughtered into Kokoyasi village. I'm done talking. Roman looked around for a week. His calm eyes did not contain a trace of threat, but no one dared to look at him. Nonsense, this is the fierce man who brought Arlong to the ground in a heads-up. It's like sitting with a tiger, no, a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Who is for and who is against? In the face of Roman's words, after a moment of silence, it was only natural that there was a voice of approval. Whether it is true or false, at least no matter what Roman does now, these prominent figures in the villages and towns once ruled by Arlong dare not have the slightest objection. Very good, then let's go with what I said. As for the details of routine maintenance, military spending, material transactions. Roman stood up and moved out of the way. The next meeting will be discussed with you by the mayor of Kokoyasi village. Is this really good? Walking out of the village chief's house, facing Nami's question, Roman touched his chin and answered seriously. It's better than doing nothing, right? The world is in a turbulent era, no matter whether this era is called the Great Pirate Age, or the Great Voyage Age. In short, behind the carnival of heroes, there are blood and tears of mortals. Once the hero draws his sword, it is another 10 years of robbery. Maybe Roger had his own considerations, maybe Roger just followed his heart, maybe Roger just made a joke with everyone. But anyway, that year One Piece King of Pirates shouted, "Want my treasure? I can give you all of it if you want, go find it, the Great Root." I put everything in the world there. It was decided that the turmoil in this world would come. For the strong, of course, it is the starting point of the dream. But for most ordinary people, it is the beginning of a nightmare. We'll be sailing on the Great Route soon, and until then, at least Kokoyasi village needs to be able to protect itself. Heroes are not enough to hold, because heroes who are chivalrous and righteous are destined to drift across the world. Marine can't stand it because there are too many unjust people mixed in with a just cause. So, I set up these 21 villages and towns, alliances, to give the people here a certain amount of power. With the 100 million Baileys you provided as the starting capital, plus the weapons on my ship, to form a militia teams, building a seaside fortress, and dealing with ordinary pirates are enough. Quote. Of course, if you encounter masters, like Roman and Luffy, or even someone like Kuro, the Black Cat, who is good at busting vegetables, the army composed of a large number of ordinary people will be very weak. Joseph, Johnny. Roman turned to look at the two third-rate pirate hunters behind him. How was my previous proposal considered? Brother Roman. We still want to be pirate hunters. Don't be stupid. Roman rubbed his forehead. I'm not trying to stop your dreams, I'm just using your random swordsmanship. What did these two guys, Joseph and Johnny, say? Measured by the bounty, the fighting ability has reached the level of tens of millions, and the swordsmanship strength is still at the level of 2.5 million. To put it bluntly, it is Shaji's 8 cuts. However, people are so addicted to vegetables that they have to go to the sea every day. Lose a little bit every time. Sit down and polish the swordsmanship I gave you, and then it's not too late to pursue your dreams. Although Roman has always claimed that he can only a little of everything, but unlike Joseph's a little, at least Roman's a little is definitely a level that most pirates can't achieve in their entire lives. Therefore, his swordsmanship is definitely enough for Joseph and Johnny to make a qualitative leap in their strength. Well, in order to solve the problem that Kokoyasi village doesn't have masters, Roman can only fool the two swordsmen in neat suits to stay. With the strength of Joseph and Johnny, and with a large number of militia armed with firearms, as long as they don't encounter opponents like Krieg, there is no problem in protecting themselves in this East Blue. You should have found it too. Only relying on the swordsmanship that he wields indiscriminately, when you meet a real master, it is to deliver food. Staying in Kokoyashi village can not only help Nami protect her relatives, but also immerse herself in improving herself. Saying that, Roman smiled deliberately. Or, are you going to run away with my swordsmanship? How is this possible? Stop joking, brother Roman. We're going to be very good, manpower, weapons, strong, as long as the construction of the seaside fortress is completed, this place will have the power to resist ordinary pirates. Roman thought while walking. Of course, it's not impossible to leave in style after being a hero, but this is Nami's hometown after all, and Roman doesn't want to suddenly see news such as, Kokoyashi village is destroyed, in the newspaper. The so-called self-improvement is the right way. As for Marine, although I can't remember exactly, Roman knew that Luffy's grandfather was in East Blue at this time. And also came up with a classic old stock, Axe King, Monka. With his status and power in Marine, he will definitely be watching his grandson closely, so. In Marine, leave it to that old man. Although the Garp Vice Admiral is usually unreliable, he is by no means ambiguous when it comes to right and wrong. This is very similar to Luffy. Roman, what did you just say? Facing Nami's question, Roman waved his hand. It's okay, go to the construction site to see how the guys are doing. Although it is not impossible to ask them to help with construction, we are also pirates and not construction workers. Staying too long is not good for everyone. Very well, put those stones here. Put the log up. Here, dig half a meter deep. When Roman and Nami came to the construction site, a prototype of a fortress had appeared, and the foreman was Usopp. How's the progress? Well, the main building can be completed in 2 days at most. Don't forget, Usopp is a truly multi-talented man. After Roman provided the main structure, he quickly drew the architectural sketches and directed everyone to carry out the construction. Very good, when the main project is completed, the Ertong Alliance will also be established. With the courage of Kokoyashi village to fight Fishman, and after obtaining the weapons provided by Roman, ordinary pirates are by no means their opponents. In this case, in 2 days, we're ready to go to see Luffy, what do you think? Yes. Chapter 35 Sail out to sea. Marine offers bounty. Blue sky, white clouds. Outside Kokoyashi village, a prototype of a fortress has been built. I believe that over time, it can grow into a building that shelters one side, but before that. Hey, Roman, where's Nami? Facing Luffy's question, Roman rolled his eyes. You ask me, who do I ask? Don't you know that girls need an hour of preparation time to go out? I don't know. X3. It can be seen that none of you have a female predestined relationship, look at Usopp. Ah, no, Usopp shook his head, Kaya never goes out. Ellipsis. Okay, just wait for me honestly. Roman rubbed his temples. Without Nami, are you guys going to sail? Aren't you afraid to drive going merry into the whirlpool? You come and drive. X4. I have a sentence. Hey, you're sailing. On the pier, all the people of Kokoyashi village saw off. In the village, Nami had already rushed over at high speed, shouting to start the boat while running. What does Nami mean? Facing Usopp's question, Roman shrugged and looked at Luffy. How do you say it, Luffy? Ha, she told us to start the boat, of course it's going to start first. Clap la. As the anchor was stowed, Going Merry began to slowly leave the shore, and Nami rushed towards the farewell crowd. Nami, wait a minute. We still have many words of thanks for. At least let us. However, before the villagers, feelings of farewell, could be expressed, Nami flexibly passed through the crowd. In the middle of a crowd, the girl kicked hard on the pier, and the slender figure flew high and fell towards Going Merry, who had already sailed. Roman. Catch me. Brush. The figure flashed, and Roman, who was still at the helm just now, had to shoot at him, catching Nami, who almost failed to jump on the deck. The whole person's face darkened. What? You shouldn't be able to jump even that distance, right? Could it be that the training is not enough? However, the girl in her arms just laughed, leaving Roman confused. Wow. One by one wallets fell from Nami's arms, causing her to stick out her tongue at Roman embarrassedly. Sorry, I accidentally took a little bit more. What should I say at this time? Forget it, just smile. Everyone. Nami, who drew Bailey from her purse, waved a sly issue to the villagers on the dock. Take care. Little girl, you are so brave. XN. Nami is really different, said Usopp with envy. Be careful when she's sold. This was Zoro with a serious face. Miss Nami has such a personality, said Sanji with a thumbs up. Ha ha ha, this is Luffy laughing. It was decided to increase her training volume by 20%. This is Roman with a pensive face. If you are indecisive, your muscles will solve it. On the pier, there was a lot of noise. My wallet. You thief cat. Bring me back. However, as Going Merry faded away, the angry noise all turned into take care. Welcome back anytime. We all thank you. When parting, you should face it with a smile facing the homeland that is gradually receding. Nami let the sea breeze blow her orange short hair. Look in the direction of the orange grove. I'm leaving, Belmere. I've met some of the best buddies I've ever met, eh? Clap clap. Roman clapped his hands and drew the eyes of a group of partners who were still reminiscing about parting. Very well, the training volume lost during this period is now starting to make up. After speaking, Roman began to squat, stand up, bounce, and squat down. The whole person moved into an afterimage. Hee, Roman, let's see who can finish 100 sets first. Zoro raised his brows, full of fighting spirit. Ha ha ha, no wonder I said it's weird these days, and Luffy was also toothy issue, pressing his straw hat with one hand and putting his fist on the ground with the other. It turns out that Roman's supervision is missing, so I'll start too. Pushing up with one hand, Luffy, like a high-speed pile driver, is turning into an afterimage, making people unable to see even his facial features, and only the iconic laughter echoes on the deck. Ha 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 ha, Sports King, I'm determined. Kings do you want to be? You. The cigarette in Sanji's mouth was so frightened that it fell on the deck. Looking at the people who were exercising, in full swing, he began to suspect that he was not on the pirate ship, but entered some devil muscle training room by mistake. Ha, that's what Roman meant. Nami, who also started exercising, shrugged. According to him, we are all too weak. So we must seize the time to become stronger. Really? Unbuttoning his suit jacket, the blonde Sanji was also interested. Then I will join too. Report Vice Admiral. The 16th Marine Branch, the number 16-1 warship is from the branch Colonel Rat and below, all personnel have not survived. On a very personal ship, a Marine captain is investigating the contents of a serious report. But the object of his report. It was a tall, almost 3 meters, broad-chested, muscular old man. Wearing a dog head hat, the hat covered his face, making it difficult to see his expression. Behind him was the Marine, Justice, cloak with black and red shoulder pads, which rattled in the wind. The breath of the strong is coming. However. Vice Admiral, Garp Vice Admiral, are you listening? Lord Vice Admiral, maybe he's asleep. A new school official next to him asked cautiously. The reporting school official pulled his hat and gave his colleague a serious look. Be confident and get rid of, maybe. What do I do now? Holding the stack of evidence in his hand, the colonel also had a headache. Not that the murderer could not be found, but... Show me. A thick knuckle palm pulled the paper from the colonel's hand, and the old vice admiral named Garp had awakened at some point. He flipped through the information in his hand, and the more he looked, the more sober he became. Immediately after. Ha 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 ha. In the wild laughter, the Marines were crunching like their bones, as if they were bearing a huge amount of invisible pressure on their backs. Okay, I can't believe that Marine from the branch has such a business acumen. To advance and retreat together with the pirates, to divide the account between 3 and 7, do nothing to make East Blue a singing and dancing, and even buy a large family business. Wonderful. With the words of Garp Vice Admiral, more and more pressure fell on this ship, and there was a crunch in the air. Let those low-strength sailors roll their eyes and pass out. Vice Admiral, Garp Vice Admiral. The helpless colonel's continuously increasing volume finally brought the tall old Vice Admiral back to his senses. He looked at the sailors who were overwhelmed by his momentum and even fainted, and pouted in dissatisfaction. I can't even bear the mere imposingness. What kind of Marine? Ah, I can't say that. How many people in this world can withstand your serious, imposing? The colonel was helpless, but now is not the time to say that. According to the information we have collected, the person who shot was the former battle captain of the Silver Light Pirates, Counterattack, Tokovich, Roman. As for the reason, the colonel looked up at the documents in Garp Vice Admiral's hands, which were all left by the murderer at the scene, clearly explaining the other party's motives. However, now this Roman has joined the new Straw Hat Pirates, and the leader of this pirate group. The colonel glanced again at his immediate superior. Named Monkey D. Luffy. Ha 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 ha, that stinky boy has also gone to sea. Facing the proud look on his boss's face, the colonel only felt very tired. How should this matter be handled? Monkey D. Garp Vice Admiral. Monkey D. Garp, Monkey D. Luffy. This is what blind people can see, right? What's more, as Garp Vice Admiral's direct officer, the colonel with the top hat of course knew that his boss came to East Blue to visit his grandson. But now he just wants to throw the portrait in his hand on his boss's face, so that you don't get a good education. See what your grandson has become. Forget it, the world is not worth it. Tokovich Roman. Faced with the fact that his grandson ran out to be a pirate, Garp in Marine still had time to think about other issues at this time. A little familiar, don't you think? Ha ha ha, this kind of thing must be an order from that Straw Hat, Luffy. Just leave it to the people at headquarters to deal with it. I don't care what he does. Well, the old man Hockey, who had a hand in his grandson, had to wave his hand. Great line, Marine headquarters. The Marine secretary who was always presiding over the meeting, Brano no, Colonel Marine Brano slapped the 3 wanted notices on the table. 15 million feet Joker, Buggy. 17 million feet Admiral, Krieg. 20 million feet Fishman Pirates, Arlong. These 3 pirate groups with tens of millions of levels are all captured by this. He clapped his palm on the brand new bounty hanging on the wall behind him. It was Luffy with a straw hat smiling brightly. The new Straw Hat Luffy has been dealt with. The branch is helpless against this group of people. For the first time, there is a reward of 30 million yuan. Although the price is not high, it has already explained the endless problems of the new generation of pirates. So, we must nip the evil in the bud. Following Colonel Brandon's impassioned speech, all the school officials promised with a bang. Justice. The Marine on the Great Line is a bit of what justice should look like. Just. A group of generals fell into contemplation as they looked at this inexplicably familiar name. Monkey D. 36 Rogue Town Purchase Preparation. Ha ha ha, we have become wanted criminals. Holding the newspaper that Nami bought from Communication Bird and the wanted notice in it, Luffy smiled and touched the back of his head. And there is still a reward of 30 million Baileys. See, I'm on camera too. Facing Usopp's words, Sanji was speechless. It's just that the back of the head is exposed under the wanted order. What's there to be proud of? Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Please be serious, our heads are being watched. Nami covered her forehead and began to experience Roman's pain. With such a high bounty, those pirate hunters, and even Marine headquarters will take action. Now is not the time for us to relax. We rush into the great course in one go. Luffy is full of pride. Good. X2. Sanji, who was assimilated by Usopp, raised his arms and shouted, and Zoro, who was resting on the other side, opened one eye. Everyone, land appears at 2 o'clock. On the other side, Roman, who was sitting cross-legged and closed his eyes on the ground, spoke slowly. Around Going Merry, several paper cranes were circling and flying. Roman was exercising his reconnaissance ability. At the same time, a man in white armor stood in front of the rudder, maintaining the direction of Going Merry. Needless to say, this is also Roman's fruit ability. Paper dance, paper cranes. Paper dance, white knight. He really didn't leave any rest time. Zoro glanced at Roman, who didn't miss a second of time to exercise his fruit ability even when his body was resting. I don't know why the other party worked so hard. Forget it, if you can't figure it out, don't want to. Since you want to become the world's #1 swordsman, if you don't even have the diligence of a fruit person, what else is there to say? Roll over and get up and continue exercising. That should be Logatown, the town of beginning and end. Nami, who carefully studied the chart, found the coordinates where everyone was, and at the same time said the famous place of the land. Logatown is where Gul D. Roger was born and where he was executed. That's why it's called the town of beginning and ending. And this is also the last town before the Great Route, so. Facing the yearning Luffy, Nami smiled and tilted her head. From the new group. How are you going to take a look? Of course. Wow, this is Logatown. It looks prosperous. It is obviously the last town before the Great Route, but there are people coming and going on the street, which is very lively. This is of course. You all listen, Marine here isn't. I'm going to see the execution platform. However, before Roman could finish speaking, Luffy disappeared in a hurry. I'm going to see if there are any good ingredients. This is Sanji with an excited face. I'm going to add some equipment too. This is Usopp who fights with props. I have something to buy too. This is Zoro who touched the remaining katana at his waist. Then I will lend you money with double interest. There is no doubt that this is only Nami. Marine here is very. Forget it, Luffy is gone. Roman was really having a headache, so he could only release a few paper cranes to look for Luffy's figure from the sky. At the same time, he took out a stack of Baileys. Then, each person will first receive 100,000 Bailey's activity funds. Roman, so much money from you. Could it be? What are you thinking? Roman's face darkened when he looked at the people who looked like, you are such a person. Don't you think I have the ability to make fake Bailey with my fruit power now? I don't even think about it, just you guys who don't have the concept of money. No, Nami has an excess of money concepts. Although I didn't receive any money from Kokoyashi village for the weapons of my boat, I won't give them to other villages and towns for free. Shengmin, do mi cho. Seeing the confused faces in front of him, Roman waved his hand. Anyway, do you want it? Yes. X4. Nami, aren't you rich yourself? Then I have something to buy. After distributing the activity funds, several people separated. And Roman. How about this set? After changing into a mink coat, Nami, who was lined with a tight tube top and a short fur skirt, walked out of the fitting room and leaned against the door. In the eyes of the high above, wealth and honor rushed towards her face. Very good, it fits your temperament too. What about this set? Nami, who had changed into a red cheongsam, put on an S shape on her side. The smooth leg line under the cheongsam and the repatterned windmill orange on her shoulders added a touch of wildness. Ah, so elegant, my guest. What about this set? Amazing. How about this set? Very good. Who I am? Where am I? What am I doing? Roman, who was sitting next to him, couldn't help but think of these three philosophical questions. In the final analysis, why did he agree to accompany Nami to go shopping? Wouldn't it be nice to roll iron on a boat? Does it look good, Roman? Ah, good, nice. HMPH. Guessed, these clothes. Neither. Seeing Nami rushing out of the door, Roman, who was earnestly folding the paper in her hand into a paper crane, came back to her senses. Seeing how happy the store manager Sora was, he casually ordered a dress that Nami tried on just now. Just this one, wrap it up for me. Okay, guest. And Zoro at this time. I'm going to buy 2 knives, it's 100,000 Baileys. Tisk, it's only 100,000 inches. 100,000 Baileys are actually quite a lot, but weapons have always been, in short supply, in this world. After all, a single weapon can create more wealth. So, there are 50,000 knives on the shelf over there, choose whatever you want. In the face of the boss's lazy words, Zoro is not annoyed, it is just for transition anyway. If you really need it, you can let Roman use his abilities to create a better sword. Speaking of which, if I had known that one knife was so expensive, it would be better to choose 2 from those sold by Roman. Wow, your knife is... Zoro's contemplation was interrupted by a voice next to him. It was a girl with eyes in a plaid shirt. But most importantly, what are you doing here? Zoro twitched his brows and asked why. This girl named Tashigi looks like the girl Kuina who made a promise in his childhood. It can't be said that they are similar, they can only be said to be exactly the same. If he hadn't personally attended Kuina's funeral, and had just witnessed the swordsmanship of this girl named Tashigi, Zoro might have suspected that his memory was confused. I'm here to get a knife, and my Shiu is being maintained at this shop. As she said that, she pushed up her glasses and looked at Zoro's waist with an excited look at the knife, and Dao Yuan, her longing eyes beyond words. This is one of the 21 sharp knives, and I can actually see it here. Ah, is that so? Faced with this face, even Zoro, who only had a knife in his heart, felt a little tired. As the two talked, Zoro also slowly learned that the girl named Tashigi was working on collecting famous swords. Don't get me wrong, she's not a collector, but she doesn't want to see these famous knives being used by bad people to make a name for themselves and kill people. What a naive guy. But only bad people need weapons. The owner of the weapon shop grumbled angrily, since your Smoker came here, my business has plummeted. Colonel Smoker is not a smoker, he maintains the law and order here. Yes, all I know is that he made my store almost impossible to open. This girl, or a marine? Ah, yes, if you're going to choose knives. It can be seen that the girl has a lot of research on knives, and actually picked one out of a pile of 50,000 Bailey ordinary knives. Is this the 3rd generation ghost? It's unbelievable that such a good knife is only 50,000 Baileys. Ah. Facing the girl's doubts, the owner of the weapon shop was only in a cold sweat. This is $1 million sword. Its predecessor, 2nd generation Goosh, ranks among the most powerful swords. The 1st generation Goosh is one of the most powerful swords. No. Seeing Zoro taking the knife, the sweaty weapon shop owner shouted, a seizure of conscience. That knife can't be sold to. Is it a demon sword? However, Zoro had already drawn out the samurai sword named Sandai Onikiru, and a calm voice interrupted the boss's words. You know. No. Zoro denied the weapon shop owner's words. I see. Perhaps to ordinary people, the so-called imposingness, killing intent, and fierce, or illusory things, but in the eyes of experts, these things really exist. Especially Zoro, as a swordsman, in his eyes, the ominous red and black aura wrapped around the blade, accompanied by bursts of mourning. Yes. The weapon shop owner nodded. A class of knives in the name of Gui Che, or treasure knives, naturally sharp, but they are also demon knives. The swordsmen who have used ghosts in all dynasties have all died. Even people who are completely ignorant can't live long with these knives. For a period of time, these Gokudo knives were even given to the target as a sharp weapon for assassination. Quote, as a weapon of murder, he actually killed his own master first. Originally I wanted to get rid of it, but I was also afraid of the inexplicable curse or something. Ah, sorry, I didn't know this knife was so scary. Facing the bosses, horror story, and Tashigi's bout apology, Zoro is proudly Isho. Very well, I like it. I want this knife. Hey, are you a fool? If you die with this weapon, it's not like I killed you on purpose. HMPH, then let me see whether it is the curse of the demon sword or my luck. Saying that, Zoro directly threw the 3 generations of ghosts upwards, and let the knife spin at high speed. Brush. Then he suddenly stretched out his arm, in the direction where the blade fell. If I lose, it means I'm nothing more than that. Your hands will. Ah. Facing the panicked boss and Tashigi covering his mouth in fright, Zoro just closed his eyes calmly. Then. Brush. The swirling demon blade fell around Zoro's arm, not even touching a single hair. I accept this knife. Puff. The demon sword named Sandai Guido fell on the floor, and the entire blade sank into the floor silently. It shows its sharpness, but in front of Zoro's luck no strength. You can only bow your head obediently. Bang. The girl named Tashigi sat down on the ground in fright. Boom. The owner of the weapon shop was also frightened and slammed into the shelf behind him. This how self-confident and domineering is this? Okay, there's one more left. Wait a minute. The owner of the weapon shop, who got up, rushed into the room inside and came out with a black lacquer-crossed katana. This is the Snow Walk of our store's flagship store, Liang Kue Dao 50 workers. Ha ha ha, Liang Kue Dao, I don't have so many. No money. The old saying is good, a treasured sword matches a hero. I haven't met a swordsman with your eyes for a long time. Instead of putting this treasured sword with me, it is better to follow a hero like you. It was so terrifying that my legs were so weak that I couldn't stand up. Seeing Zoro leaving with 3 swords hanging, Tashigi, who was still sitting on the ground, sighed sincerely. Chapter 37 Laugh at Death Partial Split. I want all this stuff. A woman is really like the sea. After receiving the clothes that Roman bought, Nami, who was cloudy and sunny, happily went to another civilian clothing store and bought a lot. Everyday clothes for men and women. In Nami's words, if she doesn't prepare, Luffy Zoro can wear that dress for a lifetime. In this regard, Roman seriously discussed with her that the dress will be worn by the Aonorhaki for a long time. The question of reinforcement, and then got a scowl. Speaking of which, Roman, do you want to pick a few too? I don't need it. Roman shook his head directly, I can use my ability to make any clothes I want. In other words, if your fruit ability fails no, strictly speaking, you can always be considered a fruit run, right? It seems reasonable for you to say that. Roman touched his chin, and then pointed out the mistake seriously. But the paper I made with my ability will not disappear even if it encounters seawater and sea stone. So it is at most a piece of clothing with special materials, and your point of view cannot be established. Katakana middle dot. As long as you're happy. Nami, who was made speechless by Roman, a straight man of steel, waved her hand and motioned for the other party to follow. The air has changed, the air pressure has dropped. Looks like there's going to be a storm soon. Roman, who looked up at the sky just like Nami, looked blank. Aren't we looking at the same sky? Also, does your constitution also have its own air pressure measuring device? Forget it, leave the weather, sailing, etc. To Nami. Roman, find the others, we have to hurry back to the ship. Good. Except for Luffy, who was the first to run away. Everyone else followed a Roman's paper crane, in case they couldn't find it at a critical time. No need. Roman opened his eyes with an odd look and pointed to the intersection ahead. The others will soon. Huh. Ah. Oh. Zoro with 3 knives hanging from his waist, Usopp and Sanji carrying a huge elephant trunk tuna, Nami walking in front and Roman carrying a huge package behind her. The 3 parties just met at the crossroads. Where's that kid Luffy? Facing Zoro's question, Usopp shrugged. Didn't he say he was going to see Gul D. Roger's execution stand? This is the execution platform square. Everyone. Roman put down the clothes in his hand, rubbed his temples and pointed forward. Please tell me it was just an illusion. Huh. X4. Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji turned their heads together, or looked up, followed Roman's fingers, and then. Nani. Coward, Bacana. Knock on the bean sack. Why is that guy Luffy being pinned on the execution stand to be beheaded? Hey. Roman looked at the paper cranes flying above Luffy, his eyes were black and he was about to faint. When his paper crane didn't pay attention to it, he could only rigidly execute some simple commands, but obviously, Roman has set the setting of, to follow the target and immediately report to the police, for all Shahei, but there is no feedback at all. Forget it, the immediate priority is rescue. Needless to say, Zoro and Sanji rushed to the execution platform in the center of the square in the first place. Roman also directed several paper cranes to fly towards Captain Clown, who was holding a sailor knife and was about to cut off Luffy's head, intending to delay time. At the same time, the white wings are spread behind him, and the whole person rises into the sky. Roman. Zoro. With the rapid approach, the other party's iconic red-nosed clown face rapidly enlarged. It's Buggy. Unfortunately, you are 1 step late. The sharp sailor knife raised high aimed at Luffy's neck and fell suddenly. With Buggy's strength, even Luffy's rubber fruit would never be able to withstand such a vital attack. Asshole, how is it possible to be in this place? Just reach the execution platform. Compared to Zoro and Sanji, who were caught in a group of pirates on the ground, Roman, who was obviously flying, was much faster, but damn, it's too late. No matter how fast Roman flies, it is not as fast as the opponent's knife falling. And those paper cranes are just reconnaissance supplies. Although they are flying around Buggy, they can't even harass and delay. The knife shines like snow. Separate life and death. Seeing that he was about to die, facing the passers-by, pirates, and Roman, Zoro, and Sanji, who were approaching fast in the square. The toothy Isho, a teenager named Luffy, is as cheerful as ever. Sorry. If I die. Don't. What nonsense. What are you kidding? How can you be One Piece, king of pirates here? PFF'd. The knife light fell, and blood splashed. Huh. A warm liquid fell on Luffy's neck, causing him to turn his head to look in hindsight. What catches the eye is the blade attached to the neck, as well as a pair of hands, a pair of palms that firmly grasp the sailor knife. Blood was flowing from the tiger's mouth, and from the wrist down, there were sheets of white paper floating. Come on, what is this? Is Paramesha elementalized? In the midair, still some distance from the execution platform, Roman's mind was blank as his hands and wrists turned into sheets of floating white paper, and he didn't know whether to be happy or angry for a while. For a moment, he instinctively stretched out his hands in anxiety and grabbed the falling sailor knife, and he actually let his palms appear on the execution platform through the surrounding paper cranes. This. Zoro. Sanji. Roman was the first to come back to his senses and shouted loudly, just maintaining the current elementalization that exceeds his ability has already made his physical and mental energy drain rapidly, not to mention that Buggy is funny, but the knife he swung down as not can be easily picked up by hand. If it weren't for Roman's own strength and the iron armor wrapped around his palms, now it's not just blood dripping, but his hands and Luffy's neck are split. Good job. Good job, Roman. Although I don't know what method Roman used to stop the opponent's knife, at least I could tell that Luffy wasn't dead. While everyone was stunned by this change, Zoro and Sanji jumped from the crowd to the execution platform, and then 3 blades, tornado. First meet. The circling and cutting knife wind and the ferocious kick from the bottom to the top instantly destroyed the entire execution platform. In an instant, this place where 2 people still smiled brightly in the face of death was reduced to thousands of pieces of debris. As well as, ha ha ha, I survived. It was Luffy who got out of trouble and patted his straw hat with a smile. Roman, who fell to the ground, didn't know what to say. He always felt that following a captain like this, he would one day die from a brain hemorrhage. Thanks, Roman, Zoro, Sanji. Don't talk nonsense, such a big riot, hurry up and run. Roman looked at the 2 palms that had reconnected his arms. The wound had already been bandaged by himself for the first time, but his heart was full of mixed feelings. The elementalization that has been practiced for so long has no clue at all, and it is self-taught at this time. Should I thank Luffy for being so silly? No, it's still not enough training that he has the energy to play tricks like this. If you don't practice, you practice to death. No one is allowed to move, Marine. Here's Marine. Roman remembers having a Logia master. So, Luffy, get back to the boat first. Let's go. As Marine surrounded the panicked passers-by, the pirates defiantly resisted, and Luffy Roman in the chaos took the opportunity to run towards the harbor. At the same time, the sky also began to rain droplets, and the gentle breeze blew the raindrops into a skewed area. In the Marine team, who was already in ambush, a lieutenant saluted to their immediate superior to report. Colonel Smoker, the muskets can't be used because of the rain. Really? It was a man with short silver hair, wearing a large coat with the word, Justice, written on the back, with goggles hanging around his neck, and the unbuttoned coat revealed water chestnut muscles. 2 cigars in mouth. HMPH, don't worry. Betting on my reputation as a white hunter, smoker, I won't let you pirates leave here. Chapter 38 Wind and Fog Talk About Dreams. Ha ha ha. Bang. How big are you? You almost scared us to death, you know. Facing the furious Roman Reigns, Luffy, who was punched, could only say, yes, but he immediately changed the subject with great energy. Where's Nami and Usopp? They went back to the ship with their purchases first. When it comes to business, Roman put away the mood that Luffy had messed up just now. Nami said there was going to be a storm soon, and she and Usopp went to watch the boat first. It would be miserable if it was blown away. After Roman's own merchant ship left the weapons in Kokoyashi village, the entire ship itself was dismantled as materials to build a seaside fortress. With Roman's cautious personality, he doesn't want to have a bullshit thing like the owner of a merchant ship find Kokoyashi village one day. So, now they are only left, and they can only go out to sea by going merry. And the Marines behind him. Roman didn't need to look back. He could easily understand the situation by focusing his attention on the paper crane that was left in the square just now. Fortunately, Buggy's gang gave us back pads, otherwise we'd be facing Marine now. However, those guys have been trapped in a cloud of smoke, and they are about to be wiped out. Quick, there's a tricky guy in the back. Facing Roman's urging, it aroused the curiosity of the meat, wine, and tobacco trio next to him. What tough guy. After all, Roman's strength is obvious to all, and even he has a slipped away expression, the people behind. It's Marine, the guard of this town. Colonel, White Hunter, Smoker. Colonel. You guys, please wake me up. Seeing the disdainful faces of the 3 colonels, Roman veins jumped up on his forehead. How many times have I said it? That's the headquarter. The headquarter. It's not comparable to the trash of the East Blue Branch. And that Smoker is also a natural devil fruit person. Stop. A figure and voice standing in the middle of the road interrupted Roman's popular science, causing Sanji next to him to suddenly accelerate. Ah. Beautiful. Roranoa Zoro. However, the girl with glasses standing in the middle of the road ignored Sanji, who had a heartbroken face, and just took a stance of drawing a knife in front of Zoro. I didn't expect you to be a pirate. You made fun of me, and I will never forgive you. Hey, then try it. Ah, what have you done to other girls? Clang. The two katana swords slashed together suddenly, and even the raindrops in the sky couldn't cover up the splashing sparks. You go first. Facing Zoro's words, Luffy pulled up Sanji, who is, the bastard, actually did something to the lady, and quickly left over the two of them. Let Roman nodded behind him. Once in battle mode, Luffy is actually pretty solid. But although it is said to be a battle, in fact, after a few moves, Sergeant Marine named Tashigi was easily disarmed by Zoro and used a knife, Waldong, beside the street. I will not lose to swordsman until I become the world's #1. After the ruthless three-knife flow finished speaking, he turned around and closed the knife. Goodbye. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Well, Zoro is pretty solid if not lost. There's someone ahead. Roman, who was in the center of the team, looked up and saw a man with silver gray hair and 2 cigars standing in front of him. Although it looks like a wicked person, it can still be seen from the other party's coat. Marine, get out of the way. Facing Luffy rushing at high speed, the other party just waved his hand, and a white smoke suddenly filled up. Before Luffy could react, the smoke instantly bound Luffy to the spot like a living creature. It was obviously just the smoke of intangible matter, but Luffy, who is so powerful, couldn't break free. Asshole. Seeing Luffy in distress, Sanji galloped over. The legs capable of kicking the rocks suddenly flew towards the opponent. Shoulder meet. Then. Puff. The ferocious kick passed through the opponent's cheek, empty and effortless. And the big silver-haired man with half of his face spread out just glanced coldly. I am in the way, get out. White smoke bomb. Boom. With a single punch, Sanji, who was defenseless against the Logia devil fruit, was smashed into the air. Sanji. Rubber gun. Luffy, who barely broke free of one hand, threw a fist back, but the place where the fist landed was also empty, only a piece of smoke. Call. In the smoke beside him, a man with silver hair suddenly solidified. He grabbed Luffy's head from behind and slammed it on the ground, taunting him while pulling out the weapon behind him. You're actually worth 30 million Baileys. Just this level. The end of your luck. Shish. The sound of a series of sharp weapons breaking through the air came, and several white arrows swept across the rain screen and hit the big silver-haired marine, causing him to spit out a puff of smoke in disdain. It's useless. Puff puff. The arrow passed through the body, but the wound was full of smoke. Just need to elementalize the self, this kind of attack simply. Paper dance. But Roman, who launched the attack, originally wanted the other party to take the initiative to enter elementalization, because of this. Big windmill. Hoo hoo hoo. The huge pinwheel, created by Roman's ability, spun at a high speed, and a man-made gust of wind blew into the elemental smoker and leapt backwards. White smoke drifted backwards. He had to release the elementalization in midair, and suddenly insert the weapon in his hand into the ground to fix his body. You are. I can't let you hurt my captain at will. Roman glanced at Luffy and Sanji, who were freed from their restraints, and Zoro, who came from behind. He tilted his head in the direction of the harbor. Run. My big windmill won't last long in the rain. Having said that, the trio turned around without hesitation and ran. Run. HMPH, your companion left you and ran away. In the blink of an eye, the trio had only a few dots left. Hee hee, you don't need to worry about it. Just when Roman was thinking about how to get out, a familiar voice came from behind. Rubber, rubber. An ominous premonition came to mind. Sure enough, the next second. Snapped. A hand grabbed Roman's back collar, and then. Rocket. ITM. Call out. Immediately experiencing a human cannon, Roman's swear words were caught in his throat by the suddenly tightened collar. The surrounding scenery suddenly began to retreat at a high speed. The whole person was dragged and galloped backward at a high speed, and only his long shouts were dragged in the wind. Road fly. Ha ha ha, victory escape. Well, while the experience wasn't very comfortable, I have to say it worked. In the wind and waves, Going Merry split the waves and walked all the way. While on the deck, Roman touched his chin, seriously considering whether Luffy's moving method could be popularized. No, we definitely don't want to have this experience. Nami and Usopp are not sensitive to Roman's human cannon style of movement. Look, the lighthouse ahead. After that, it's the Great Route. Following Nami's explanation, Sanji brought a wooden barrel from the side. Since we are here, let's perform a ceremony. Putting one foot on the barrel and telling one's dream is an ancient oath when starting out among pirates. Roman, come here. Facing the smiling faces of Luffy and everyone else, Roman, who has always been serious, also smiled, letting the White Knight paper puppet take control of the rudder, walking to the space specially reserved by the people in the circle, and placing one foot on the wooden barrel. Boom. I'm going to be One Piece, King of Pirates. I want to become the world's #1 swordsman. I'm going to find Blue Ocean. I'm going to draw a chart of the whole world. I want to be a brave warrior at sea. Usopp, why did your dream suddenly have a different painting style? Facing Roman's complaints, Usopp roared, I want you to take care. So. Everyone looked at Roman, who was obviously the first crew member Luffy invited, and also the most serious and reliable person on this ship full of surprises, but Roman, it's your turn. Facing Luffy's words, Roman thought about it seriously before showing his face issue. My dream. That's the day to see your dreams come true. Che, what, your dreams are more perfunctory, okay. Facing Usopp's complaints, Roman looked up at the cloudy sky with raindrops falling, but he laughed as if he saw a clear sky. Ha 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 ha. It's really a perfunctory dream, or I'll change it. How about we all go to the end of the world together? Hey, do you think you can change things you bought in the store? Can't you? Ha 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 ha. A good companion. At the top of the lighthouse, a figure in a cape stood in the wind and rain, with a pair of relieved eyes piercing the stormy waves, watching the hilarious Going Merry in the distance. Nothing can stop a man from going to sea. Go on, Luffy. Go make a mess. Chapter 39 Recall the past. The legend begins. Do you think my dreams are random? Roman spread his hands and looked at the others on the deck. But there is no way. Dreams, etc., generally have a great relationship with their past. Its idols, friends, parents, or benefactors, whether it's power, knowledge, or dreams, people are inherited from generation to generation. You all have precious memories, but my past. Roman, the past is already. The tragedy of this world can only be said that it is all over the place. Nami took a step forward and was thinking about how to comfort Roman, but Roman had already raised her hand to stop her. You misunderstood, Nami. My past, it should be said, very happy. Then you put on a deep hammer. Facing a few of his companions who had written, "You're kidding me," on their faces, Roman shrugged. What to say about my past? Ordinary family, ordinary life, ordinary daily life. Whatever you want to eat every day, make a phone call, the phone bug will be delivered to your door. Referring to takeaway. Whatever you want to watch every day, you can move your finger and appear in front of your eyes, whether it is a novel, an anime, an opera. Referring to the mobile phone. If you are too busy and want to exercise, you can also follow the coach instructor to exercise, boxing, sports, shooting, referring to cloud fitness. Hey, you're not ordinary at all. Zoro, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp are all complaining. In this chaotic world, there are only nobles. No, royals don't necessarily have this kind of treatment, right? Every day is a peaceful and plain life. The worst injury I have ever suffered since I was a child was accidentally cutting my finger. As for fighting, death, etc., you can only see it from TV and newspapers. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Looking at Roman with a so boring face, everyone couldn't help but beat him. Is this the legendary, in the midst of blessings do not know the blessings? This kind of origin is already. Anyway, that's what my past was like. Although there were a lot of messy daydreams, it was just a dream. And then, I somehow ran to the sea and became a pirate. Although I have nothing to read in the past because of the various books I have nothing to read, and the fighting swordsmanship I used to learn to play. I barely got into the pirate business. Big brother, your strength of tens of millions of bounty is just to mix it up. So what are we, apprentice sailors? Except for the neurotic Luffy, no one else can find any complaints. Because I have no unforgettable regrets, I don't have any dreams either. Roman made a summary for his traveling. Fighting the 4 emperors, stepping on 3 admiral or something. Although I occasionally think about it, they have no grudge against me, and they have no motivation. At most a few minutes of heat, forget it. Nami, Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji exchanged glances with each other. Understood. This Roman is just a child of the royal family who is so idle. Anyway, I actually envy you all very much. Roman finally got to the point. You have the goal of working hard for your whole life, and you are unswerving, which makes me really envious. In comparison, I am at best a salted fish drifting with the flow. But today is different. Roman opened his arms as if embracing the world. I want to see the moment when your dreams come true. Maybe laughing, maybe crying, maybe just melancholy, maybe even emptiness. But I really want to see it with my own eyes. Well, if I have to say it, this is Roman's dream. Hee hee. Roman, you said something you didn't understand for a long time. Luffy pressed his straw hat, looked up at Roman with a hearty smile. I wanted to watch One Piece, too. It's decided, your dream will be fulfilled by me. Well, you're right, Luffy. Roman shrugged and told what happened in the past. It seems that everyone has become a lot easier. Always communicate with people with secrets from the past, no matter how you think about it, it's a bit nonsense. But HMPH, there are still many things I've learned from books, such as revolutionaries, such as Gorosei 5 Elders, such as blank 100 years, such as even if it is One Piece in the Blue Ocean, I too. Also, was deliberately extended by Roman, and when Luffy and Sanji had the expressions of, please don't reveal the drama, Roman's face froze. I don't know either. Beat you, believe it or not we beat you. Ha ha ha, to scare you. I'm not an encyclopedia. In the cabin, a group of people sat together, and the nautical charts from the buggy pirates were spread out on the table. The entrance to the Great Route is a mountain. Mountain X4. Although I don't believe it, but if the location on the chart is correct, the entrance is indeed the upside-down mountain at the lighthouse ahead. Are you going to hit the mountain? Facing the dazed and uncertain Nami, Roman knocked on the table. Instead of hitting the mountain, prepare to climb the mountain. In front of you is the Red Continent, where the 4 major sea areas of East, West, North, South, and South all meet here through the canal. The mighty currents of the 4 seas push the seas up to the top of the mountain, and then merge into one stream down that is, the beginning of the Great Voyage. Roman began to play book knowledge to a few people. The whole Great Route circles the world, which means, wow, look, it's calm over there. Usopp was lying on the window, looking not far away. Then why do we have to take this weird route? Zoro asked a question. We're going straight to the south. The answer lies in the calm waters. There's the windless zone, and the great route is sandwiched between two seas called the Freeze. The so-called windless belt, as the name implies, is that there is no wind. The sailboats are only there and can't move an inch, but more importantly, Roman pointed to the side that Usopp was looking at from the window. It was clear that the sea area they were in was pouring rain, but the other side was calm and the sun was shining brightly. Outside is the paper puppet, White Knight, in a raincoat driving the boat, and the reason why Going Merry deviates from the channel to come here is of course Roman's intentional act. No matter what I say about how dangerous and powerful the Great Route is, you don't have a specific concept. So, boom boom boom. In the sound like thunder, the whole Going Merry swayed up and down. Like a poor leaf in a stormy sea, when it finally stabilized, Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji in the cabin rushed outside. Then, what the hell is this? X4. 4 no, 3 stunned faces. Because poor Usopp had passed out with foaming at the mouth. In the calm sea next to Going Merry, a group of a few hundred meters, or 1,000 meters. The giant sea beast surfaced. Their bodies just out of the water are like rolling hills. Going Merry, carrying Roman, Luffy and others, is like an ant beside a giant in front of these sea beasts. Too small to even get their attention. Specialties of the windless belt, giant Neptunes. Behind the stunned trio, Nami, who was holding the hatch in tears, and Usopp who fainted, was Roman who walked out slowly. Got it, that's why everyone is obediently taking the great course. Roman. Turn around, turn around. Stop talking about this. Brother, big brother. Rao is the fearless trio whose souls are split open. In front of such a giant beast of hundreds of thousands of kilometers, whether it is fist or sword, it is not worthy to scrape the opponent. And these beasts only need to turn over. Buried at the bottom of the sea is the only end. Needless to say, Roman had already directed the White Knight to drive the Going Merry to draw an arc. Visiting, a lap on the edge of the windless belt is just to show a few of the horrors of the Great Route, not really. But if there is no Roman, it is difficult to say whether Luffy and the others will die and go to the giant Sea King lair. Okay, let's go to Upside Down Mountain. Great Route, here we come. Chapter 40 Whale Laboon Crocus. Wow, that's the Red Earth continent. It's blocked by clouds, so I can't see the top. Roman looked up and glanced at the red sky that towered into the clouds, straight up and down, and his eyes flashed. That is, if we cross the red soil continent now. Roman turned to look at the others on the deck. You can come directly to the New World. And it happens that Roman has this ability to cheat, and can enter the end of the Great Route in the shortest time. It's not fun at all. Facing Luffy's complaints, Roman just shrugged. Of course, I'm just talking about it. Not to mention whether I have the physical strength to leap over the red soil continent, just the fact that hundreds of millions of pirates in the New World are running around, can make me die at any time. Ha ha ha, sailing is exciting only if you go all the way. I have to admit that a lot of times Luffy can get the most out of it. It's a wise move to abandon shortcuts and level up along the Great Route. There is an entrance ahead. Watch out, we're going to be sucked in. In the towering red soil continent ahead, a river appeared on the mountain, and the rushing river rushed to the top of the mountain. This is the entrance to the Great Route. Oh, I heard that half of the people walk here and they're gone. Sanji looked at the waterway on the hillside in front of him, and if he couldn't keep the boat on the correct current, there was a high possibility of a tragic crash on the red soil continent. Leave it to me. At this time, it was Nami's turn to play. Only she can accurately grasp the ocean current under the ship, so that there will be no collision accident. Then I'll help too. Roman opened his arms, and sheets of white paper flew out from his arms. Form a pair of wings on the left and right of Going Merry. Paper dance, horizontal wings. Very well, this minimizes the possibility of the ship being swayed by the turbulence. But even Nami, the most experienced sailor, has never experienced this kind of experience that requires boat climbing. Be careful. Go in. With Nami at the helm, Roman stabilizes the ship, even in rough seas and storms. Going Merry is still smoothly inserted into the Great Route entrance between the laterite continents. As the turbulent current pushed the whole ship to crawl at high speed, the scenery in everyone's eyes quickly retreated. Until, oh, I see the Great Route. As Luffy shouted, sitting on the head of Going Merry's bow, sheep, the boat reached the top of the mountain and looked around, sparkling, endless. This is the greatest ocean in the whole world. We're here, let's go. As the summit was reached, the waters of the other three oceans also converged here, pushing Going Merry all the way down. Just rush out of this waterway, here is. What is that, Sean? Boo. However, in front of Going Merry, which is swooping down at high speed, there is a black mountain straight into the sky. That's not a mountain, that's a whale. It's spectacular. Oh, is it such a big whale? Facing the elated Luffy and everyone, Roman covered his forehead and couldn't bear to look directly. Haven't you considered that if we rush down at this speed and hit this giant whale, the only thing that will happen is the ship's death? Ah. Roman, think of a way. X5. Katakana middle dot. What do you think of me? Do you think the all-purpose Tinker Bell? Having said that, Roman was well prepared for this scenario. After all, after planning to get on Luffy's ship, how to survive in various extremely harsh environments such as sea, land and air has become a problem that Roman has always considered. Don't ask, ask as love. Snapped. With his hands together, sheets of white paper all over Roman's body flew out from his clothes, thousands of them. With the sound of clattering, they all grouped together towards the stern. Paper dance, parachute. Sheets of white paper form a huge parachute at the stern. Although it is a parachute, it should actually be called a reduction parachute. It is the kind that Roman used on the space shuttle in his previous life. It sounds high-end, in fact. It's just a sturdy umbrella. But in any case, under the deceleration of this huge paper umbrella, the speed of Going Merry rushing down from the top of the mountain continued to decrease rapidly, and when it approached the sea level, it almost stopped. Very good. Snap. The decelerating Going Merry collided with the black whale like a mountain, and the sheep's bow in front was smashed into the boat. But it is much better than the possible shipwreck before. Turn the rudder to the right, let's go around. Just as Roman was about to get around the big guy, Luffy snapped to the side of the boat. You broke my privilege seat. Hey, don't. Rubber, gun. Snapped. The extended fist slammed into the giant whale's eye, perfectly explaining what it means to be immortal. Are you an idiot? X5. Nami, Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji burst into tears at the same time. As expected of One Piece, King of Pirates, it can easily make the famous Zoro burst into tears. Calm down, calm down. Roman at the helm no longer knew what he was talking about. As long as I develop a going maneuver, drawn out of paper, affect the surrounding velocity field through friction, and control the water and air to move according to the going spiral, I can break through time and space and travel until I encounter Luffy, our rocky science. Glance. Eyes that were several times bigger than the entire Going Merry rolled, looking at the little thing that had just attacked it. HMPH, let the horse come over. Bang. Shut up, X3. Facing Luffy, who was kicked over on the deck by Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji at the same time, Roman would have wanted to rush up to make up for it if he hadn't held the rudder. Hit, call me, this captain, don't mind. Do you not look at the level when opening a monster? Then. Be careful, it's absorbing water. As the giant whale's mouth opened, Going Merry, who was not even a fraction of the opponent's tooth, was sucked into the opponent's abyss mouth without any resistance. Brush brush. Pieces of paper tape flew out and quickly tied everyone on the boat. Then, let it be your fate. Roman is tired. Roman cannot get up again. Roman is starting to follow the trend. Blue sky and white clouds. What do you think? Facing Zoro's question, Sanji, who was smoking a cigarette, glanced around. What can I think? I think we were swallowed by a whale. Ha ha ha, aren't we living a good life? This is the ever-optimistic trio. As for the others, Usopp, who fainted again, had a serene face, and even held a bunch of flowers in his hand. It would be more perfect if he added a suicide note. Mother Belmere, I want to go home. Giant sea kings, giant whales, and even people in boats were swallowed in one bite. Nami, who was about to cry without tears, has begun to miss Kokoyashi village. Roman, look at the island over there. Facing Luffy's shouting, Roman had already made a sun lounger out of paper, and lay down on it, looking like a salted fish. I'm not Roman. I'm just a salted fish. Just let me hang up. The first level to drive the dragon, the ship to rush the tower. I can't take it. I don't want to play. I say goodbye. This isn't a hallucination. The big-hearted trio had calmed down and asked, pointing to an old man lying on a sun lounger on the island. What about this? It was a sturdy old man, wearing a beach shirt, beach pants, and slippers, just sitting under the coconut tree on the island and reading the newspaper. Facing Going Merry, he just glanced at Vivi. The eyes behind the glasses were unusually sharp. Hey, what are you looking at? If you want to fight, we have cannons. In the face of Usopp's trembling threat, the old man just spit out a word coldly. I advise you better not to. It will kill people. Oh, who are you saying is going to die? In the face of Sanji, who was full of fighting spirit, the old man just spit out a word calmly. You're talking about you. Is this the most cowardly thing to say in the most rude tone? Forget it, don't be impulsive. Zoro said, Sanji, don't stand up and negotiate with your arrogance, let me do it. Master, can you tell us who you are and where is this place? Facing the kind Zoro, the old man lying down reading the newspaper snorted coldly. When asking someone else, it's polite to report your family name first, right? You're right, for the sake of information, forbearance. My name is Crocus, the lighthouse keeper of the Twin Gorges, 71 years old, Gemini, blood type AB. You didn't say anything. Is it okay to cut him? Zoro, who was tricked, immediately revealed his true self, and let Luffy behind him pat him on the shoulder. Forget it, don't be angry. Crocus. Roman's eyes flashed while lying on the side of the salted fish. This name, although the identity of a lighthouse keeper is very ordinary, Roman knows that this old man has another, uncommon, identity. One Piece King of Pirates, Gul D. Roger's ship doctor. Well, it's time to act.